Hello and welcome to a new episode of the Game Informer Show. I'm your host, Ben Hinton, joined by Cyril Vasquez.
Hi.
Welcome, sir. Growing a beard. We have Kyle Hilliard.
Grew a beard.
Hell yeah, you did. Ben Reeves.
Shaved a beard.
Ben Reeves, you always do this thing where you have one of your headphones off your ear. Why do you do that?
I can't hear you guys if I don't have this.
You realize our voice is coming through the
It's not
headset.
coming through mine.
Is that true?
Yeah, do I need to do something? Is my mic on? Is this a prank?
Let's just keep rolling.
Wait, do we actually have a podcast?
Oh my God. Not only do we have a podcast, we have a hell of a podcast this week, Ben Reeves. We're talking about a bunch of other new games that are on the horizon or just came out, stuff like that. So we could talk about Lost Sphere, that RPG that we've talked about a little bit on the podcast before.
You're definitely all qualified to speak on it.
But we're not going to. Kim Wallace reviewed it. She wrote the review on the site. She gave it a 6.5, and it's like, it's a bummer that RPG Factory, the Tokyo RPG Factory, isn't cranking out better JRPG RPGs, but you can check out her review on the site.
Did you say JRPG RPGs?
Nope. And then what we're actually going to talk about here is Sea of Thieves, the Xbox exclusive from Rare.
Yeah.
Coming real soon.
Xbox/PC exclusive, you mean?
There we go.
Yep.
And you guys have played some of the beta?
Yes,
Yes,
Reeves and I
in
did.
fact, Cyril, you were not a part of that
I've
crew,
watched
right?
you guys play
That's
the beta.
Yeah,
Perfect.
I knew there was
Reeves
something
and I-
behind
same
me.
All right.
Us and the two Jeffs.
Wonderful. Then we're going to talk about Celeste, a new platformer that Ben Reeves has been playing, Iconoclasts, which is a Metroidvania?
Yeah, Metroidy.
Metroidy platformer?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about that. And then the Shadow of the Colossus remake. We had the interview with Bluepoint a while ago on the podcast, but now we're going to dive in deep because that game's actually coming out again and again and again and again. But then, Ben Reeves, you want to touch a little bit about The Room, Old Sins, this mobile puzzle game that you're in love with. Then I think we're probably going to get Brian Shane here to talk about UFC. He won't stop raving about it. Then community emails. Back half of the show, we're talking about Monster Hunter Worlds, first episode of GI Game Club. It's a very systems combat-focused, weapons-focused discussion where we're talking about low-rank hunts in Monster Hunter World. So if you've been playing the game, you want to hear us talk about it for a long time, read emails from the community, that's back half of the show. And it is a beast. It is our biggest ever in-person game club crew.
Ooh.
So we have 6 people on that one.
Even over Uncharted?
Yeah, well, Elise was Skyped in, which made it 6 people on Uncharted, which I don't know if it...
You got a little asterisk next to this.
Yeah, it doesn't really count. Hey, for now, Sea of Thieves.
Yeah.
You've been playing it. Reeves, you went over to Rare a while ago.
Yeah, about 2-3 months ago, I went and visited them. So I feel like a lot of what I played there is similar to what is in the beta, honestly.
What is the beta? What is this game? What can you guys tell me about what the hell this thing is?
Sure, top level, it's like a shared world game. So you jump on board, you play with like up to 4 friends. You can play solo, which I don't recommend. It's not nearly as fun as if you're playing with more people. And the more people, the better. And the more friendly those people are, the better. So yeah,
play with your buddies. Don't mess around.
Yeah, which is why I picked Kyle, obviously.
Aww.
And then somehow Jeff Cork got on board. But anyway, you all jump on, you pirate a ship, and the whole game is designed around each individual like thing you do on the ship is designed to like be a little bit complicated, so you need to rely on somebody else. So like if you're piloting the ship, that's what they say, right? If you're at the wheel of the ship,
drive the ship.
the giant mast is in front of your face. So you need somebody else on the ship to be the lookout.
And this isn't an accident of game design. This
is all intentional. I mean, when you first play it, if you're playing solo, you'd be like, man, this is a crappy design. But if you're playing with a group of dudes and having fun, like, it's weird, but it actually is fun to kind of like have to rely on other people in that manner.
So it's all pirate themed, obviously. It's very cartoony, colorful and stuff, but it kind of gives some of that Space Team vibe where it's a lot of shouting at your friends to try and coordinate, trying to pull something off.
Totally. I didn't even think about that, but that's a good comparison. Like I had a lot of fun. There was one moment where just the zany stuff you do, we got attacked by another group of dudes. And we're all firing at the ship. I think Jeffem was like piloting the ship, trying to go around. We're all firing. Cork's like trying to like tell him where to go. And then I jump in a cannon and Kyle fires me off at the ship. Like,
wait, physically you
can actually jump in a cannon and like get fired off.
That's awesome.
Towards the ship. It's like that level of like absurdity.
And it's chaos, but everything that you have to do in the game is simplified down to like just make you focus on sort of the action that you're doing. Like it's not complicated to steer. It's not complicated to look at the map. It's not complicated to load and raise the curtains. But when you mash that all together, like it does become this sort of fun, chaotic thing where everyone's yelling at each other or everyone's yelling at me specifically for some reason. Everyone's getting really mad at me. And then
you're just kind of like a good
really mad. In general. and then Reeves is flying off into the distance, and Jeff is trying to avoid a rock that's in front of us. And it gets crazy.
There are a couple of videos we have on the site that do a good job of showing off the game and showing off all the different aspects of it.
Kyle, I mean, since you were going in a little bit fresher than Reeves was, were you surprised by the amount of fun you were having? Did you look down at your hands and feel in your heart and say, "Oh my God, I'm having fun"?
No, I did play it at E3. Like I played a full 4-player match, and I had a good time then. And since the beginning, I feel like I've been optimistic about the game and been like, oh, I can see why this would be fun with a group. And it was fun playing with Reeves and the two Jeffs. And it was like because we were like having these excuses to like argue with each other in a fun way and try to work together. But when I step away from the game, I still am kind of left with a little bit of like don't really know what we're doing. What's the end goal? Like like it was fun to all jump on a ship and coordinate. Like we set our own goal and we did it. But outside of that, like if I'm just like, am I trying to get better equipment? Are we trying to upgrade our ship? Is there a story? I don't really get a sense.
We don't know those things.
If it's, I don't know. Reeves, do you know? Or?
What we do know is you're basically getting treasure chests. Like that's the whole loop of the game. Is you go out on your crew and you go to these islands, you solve riddles, you look at treasure maps. X marks the spot. In some cases, very literally, you dig up treasures, and then you take those back to a base and you turn those in for gold. And then with that gold, you presumably buy things. However,
presumably,
well, you can actually buy things. You can buy them, and
like equipment,
it's all
right?
cosmetic right now.
Yeah, okay.
And I think that's the intent, is to stay all cosmetic.
Wait,
There's
so
no.
You don't even get to see what's in the chests?
Oh, it's just gold.
You don't-
Actually,
well-
we did talk about this. It's like there's no like opening animation, like
What?
which
Just
feels
sell
very
a closed
disappointed.
chest
Yeah.
to somebody in the
It's
beta.
like, here you go. Here's the chest, and then like bloop bloop, like you
Well,
get 80 gold.
I
or
mean,
whatever.
everyone knows that if you open a chest before you turn it in, that it violates the warranty. So it's not really worth anything.
Yeah,
But you know,
let's be
and
real.
the thing is like maybe I'm just looking for too much in a weird way. Like maybe I'm just expecting like there's supposed to be more, but in this sort of modern state of games where like what a game can be is kind of shifting, like maybe that's all it needs to be.
Well, I
you
think
know?
everyone was kind of in the build up, and every time people have seen this game, they're like, "Is this aiming to become kind of a cartoon Destiny?" But it's not. It's more on the space team end of the spectrum than the Destiny end of the spectrum.
It's not a loot-driven game. Really.
Yeah,
Okay.
that loop is all you're just turning in gold chests so that you can like you kind of do rank up, but that rank doesn't affect your like damage output or anything. There's no like in terms of level, that rank only applies to like the types of missions you can get. So you can get better missions that give you higher rewards,
Okay.
but that's it. I mean those higher rewards just get you more gold to turn in chests to get more rewards with higher gold. It's just kind of a pirate ship eating itself.
Oh,
That's-
I
yeah.
understand.
So I feel like it's missing an element there, whereas in Destiny, I get the idea of like I'm equipping new gear, I'm getting stuff, and my damage output's getting higher. That feels like there's an element missing in that regard.
Yeah, but
Okay.
it as a functional like just a story generator, like we walked away like just we played like 2 hours together and we recorded it, and like honestly like the first video that we published like is the hardest I think I have ever laughed on like a video.
Did you look in a mirror?
Well, yeah, there was a mirror set up in front of me.
Oh, I see.
But I mean, it was really like tears. Like I was crying. I was
from the
laughing
game or from Ben Reeves?
from Ben Reeves. But like,
So buy Ben Reeves for $60.
we could quickly explain exactly what he did, or maybe we should keep it spoiler free if you want to go check out that video.
Maybe people should check
I'll
out.
say
that
we
video.
pull a
But
prank on
Reeves
Kyle.
basically pulled this crazy prank in the context of the game, and it just I lost it. It was hilarious.
He made you walk the prank.
That's right.
something like that, yeah. But like, and maybe that's what that game. That's sort of the thing that you should go into that game wanting, is like just a story generator for you and your friends. You have this big ship that you work together to control and see what happens, you know?
It is amazing. Like, it's like reading the comments on those videos in particular. It seems like a lot of people are impressed by the game so far. Like, I know it did well streaming so far out of the gate. It seems like a lot of people are seeing it and saying, "Oh, this actually looks like fun. I should pay more attention to it." I mean, is your hype building for it, Reeves?
I don't know that my hype is building. I think we know pretty much what this game is, and it's a game that doesn't evolve much, and the amount of fun you have with it is very much dependent on the people you're hanging out with. So if you have a group of dudes or ladies, I don't want to judge.
By the way, the dude counter's at 3 for this episode of the podcast.
Dude-
Reeves, you say dudes a lot.
Dude and dudettes.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's all dependent on who you're hanging out with and the fun that you're going to have as a group. But I personally would like there to be a little bit more of a carrot on a stick, like something I'm running after inside the game. It's very much a sandbox, and that sandbox isn't going to change no matter how long you play the game.
And we know that.
As far as what they've said so far, yes.
Okay.
They have said that there's a progression system that you're getting chests with higher rewards, but it really just seems like those rewards are more gold.
Yeah. And when does it come out?
March 20th.
March 20th. That's,
So it's not that far.
It's a hop, skip, and a jump.
Mhm.
A game that is out right now, Kyle, Iconoclasts.
Huh?
Silly name. What is this game, and what do you think of
well,
it?
thematically consistent name.
Oh,
Like it very much ties into what that game is about.
what is the game?
Well, so it is like a heavily Metroid inspired pixelated platformer.
Finally.
Yeah, I know. There's a lot of those, but the thing that separates this game, and Cyril's been playing it too.
Yep.
Like it totally functions as like that type of game that I like, that is good, that a lot of independent developers have made. But I think the thing that sets this game apart in particular, which I do like Iconoclasts a lot, the review's not on the site yet, but it should be soon, is that its story really surprised me. It is very dark. Like it is about competing faiths and religions in this world that is like on the verge of destruction. And I know that like world-ending calamity is like a frequent video game theme,
Yeah.
but this is like an occasion where I really honestly felt the weight of that. Like I was like really scared for the characters and what was going to happen. And like the end of the game is crazy. It's just it's like about religious zealotry and like your familial obligations and like competing
In
faiths.
a Metroidvania?
Yeah, and it's cool. Like I really like where that story goes and what happens to the people. And there's even moments where I was kind of like near the end, there's this like one boss fight where it made me even kind of think of like the more like sympathetic Metal Gear Solid bosses, where like I actually had a good handle on their backstory and I felt sorry for them and what they were going through.
Sorrow for them.
Yes, thank you. But yeah, it really surprised me in that way. Like I started playing it, and I was like, oh, cool, this reminds me of Metroid. It looks great. It also reminds me of Drill Dozer because you have a wrench and you can kind of like attack these like screws, and it just it's reminiscent of Drill Dozer, which I like a lot.
Yeah.
Even with its like visual style. And then like it really threw me for a loop when I saw how dark that game gets. Like there's a scene pretty early on where like you're in your brother's house and I'm going deep here, and you're like fixing their house, and you find out that like for you to do that goes in the face of this like religion that's that is integrated into every element of life in this world, to the point where like the brother is like, she needs to fix our house even though this could get us in trouble, and you're in the middle of this argument between your brother and his wife over whether you should be fixing their house. And it's just this like really dark moment that like I haven't experienced in a lot of games.
I was laughing because I'm doing it again now, but I was laughing because Cyril's mouth was opening and closing like he was a clown on a mini golf course or something. Like,
I'm sorry.
That's fine.
I've been very excited to talk about Iconoclasts.
No, you've been very excited in the office.
I think he was mouthing the words "I hate you."
I just kept saying. To Kyle's point, I think one of the things that I like about Iconoclast and the way it handles religion is that I think a lot of the game, when a game uses sort of heavy religious themes, there's a lot of like, like religion is something that, is basically mind control and it's bad or whatever, and you're sort of fighting against it. But I feel like they present it as more nuanced than that. So throughout the game, one of the characters you're partnered with is sort of like a religious devotee, but they're not sort of like pushing it on you. But every once in a while, they'll sort of subtly sneak a line of like, yeah, my faith is very important to me. And, you've established through the game that this is a good person, but they also had like their faith is a big part of who they are. And that sometimes conflicts with sort of your own beliefs and the beliefs of some of the people around you. And so they do a really good job of not saying that like, oh, religion is bad, but like just saying that the ways that religion is important to people can lead to sort of a lot of conflict.
Book of Mormon style.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. Okay. There are people arguing about their competing faiths, like while you're just sort of the silent protagonist in the middle, just kind of trying to just sort of be in the middle, literally, like you're just trying to help everybody regardless of what you personally believe, which is not what I expected from a fun, colorful looking Metroid.
Because there's a lot of conflict where it's like, okay, well that was a really heavy conversation. All right, time to go find my electric wrench so I can ride these rails at high speed.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
Yeah.
How's the running around, as the Beastcast says?
Right.
Enough about religious ideology.
It plays really well. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you really like this game?
I really like it a lot. Yeah.
I think the combat, like right now, I haven't finished the game like Kyle has, but a lot of the combat so far seems a little simpler. Like I only have 2 weapons and sort of my wrench, which is just sort of like a basic strike. But I am enjoying sort of the ways that it plays around with those ideas and some of the puzzles that they have you fix of like, here's a little grenade you can throw and you're sort of pushing these blocks by, using the grenades to blow the blocks in certain directions. So it's been fun in that way. It's not like as interconnected a map as you might see in like Castlevania.
Yeah.
It feels more like here's these several smaller maps that you travel between. So it's not like that integrated. But I mean, I've been enjoying the running around.
There, you used to be able to say the word Metroid, and I was like, there. I was like, I need to play this. But it feels like there's so many of those games now that it's like Nintendo says Metroid and nobody shows up. You know, it's like
ringing the dinner bell for
like,
3 months.
Guys, please. But this is one of the ones that's like worth checking out. Like it's a tier above the crowd.
Story, this like as a sort of Metroid inspired indie game, it is totally functional and good in that way. But the thing that like takes it a step up is the story.
Okay,
for sure.
Well, you've intrigued me with that. I'm actually gonna check it out.
Just on Steam?
Steam and PS4 and Vita.
Oh,
which I actually
Vita.
I played it on Vita. Yeah.
Vita's back, baby.
That's old gen. Vita lives. Hell yeah. Ben Reeves.
Yeah.
Celeste. Platforming game that's out on absolutely everything known to man, including the Switch, which a lot of people are playing it on. This game came out last week. It is from the creators of Towerfall, one of the best local multiplayer games I think ever at this point. It came out and people are treating it like a religion.
Yeah.
They're falling to their knees and praying to the Lord Celeste as a platformer. What has been your experience?
Something
so
about
far?
strawberries.
It's
I've been hearing
pretty
people talk
good.
about strawberries.
It is a lot of strawberries.
Yeah, I've enjoyed it so far. I'm not ready to bow down to it yet, but it's.
Can you help your brother build his house?
I think I wasn't like a crazy Towerfall guy. I like Towerfall and what it was doing. I think this is more appeals to me just in like the type of game it is because it's a platformer, run and jump. People have compared it a lot to Super Meat Boy.
Yeah.
And that it's a challenging platformer and it has a lot of quick restarts. As soon as you die, you start over again.
God bless
I
him.
will say I think it's a little bit easier than Super Metroid.
Super Meat Boy.
Super Meat Boy. What happened? I think it's a little easier than Super Metroid. So if that like turns you off,
Meat Boy.
Surreal, you're throwing me off again.
I'm sick of these Meat Boy Vanias.
Dude, come on. Anyway, if hearing the words Super Meat Boy turns you off because you're like, oh, that game was hard, maybe try this because it's not quite as bad.
Also, one of the interesting things about Celeste is they have a crazy assist mode, which they give you the option to turn on at any point. It's one of the most ambitious ones I've ever seen in the game, where you can. It basically feels like dev tools.
Yeah.
Like the amount of freedom that they give you. Like, oh, you can have infinite jump. You can be invincible. You can slow down the game speed. Like, the variety of options within Towerfall for like setting up a custom match and stuff.
Right.
Imagine that applied for just how can we help a player get through a game?
You can
Here's all the
basically-
options.
You can become immune to everything. It's
Yeah.
one of the modes. One thing we didn't mention is there's like a mid-air dash thing,
It's key.
which functions sort of like a double jump. So you jump once and then you have a dash. You can go in kind of any direction.
And a lot of the game is that push and pull between like I need to land on a platform to repower my double jump, and
Right.
it's a very smart move where they have Celeste's hair. The main character's name is Celeste, right?
Yeah.
Okay, her hair will
red.
change color
Right.
when she can do that double jump, like that cool air dash.
And she can also climb on anything, which is kind of cool. She can climb straight up vertical walls if you hold down a button, but only for a limited time.
Yeah, she has like a invisible stamina meter. Basically.
Yeah, and her grip will eventually run out, and she starts to like sort of vibrate and shake, like she's straining at the core, just trying to hold on.
So there are plenty of tough platformers out there. I'm trying to figure out. I'm only in like the second world, if you want to call it, because you're slowly climbing this mountain. Second area. And once I saw kind of, this is a weird thing, but the cosmic jelly turn
Yeah.
where it like boosts you through it. That was my first time playing the game where I feel like it elevated to like, oh, this is going to be more creative than I was expecting maybe. Is it just the more you go into the game, there's more and more creative stuff like that?
It feels like every area of the game is kind of broken up into zones, has a kind of new element to it, like the jelly that you just talked about. That's like the second area, and that was the point for me where I was like, oh, this could actually be really cool if they take this in some wild areas and directions. And I will say I feel like that second area is probably still my favorite.
Oh, okay.
The areas after that have done other cool things, but maybe not as wild as that second area. But it does change things up. That's just what I like about it, where every new zone has some like different like twist on things. In one area, you're sort of fighting the wind, which blows in different directions. So there's always something different to look forward to. And I never felt like I was kind of growing tired of doing the same old jumping around.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of Meat Boy comparisons flying around, as you know when you said, but it seems more puzzly than Meat Boy. Like, the thing I love about Meat Boy is just the purity and simplicity of it. Like, you're here, you get to there, you're going to die 1,000 times, go. Whereas I ran into situations already in this game where it's like, oh, there's multiple paths here. I don't know exactly. Okay, I have to go to this, then this will fall, and then I got to jump off that over to here. It feels more open.
It's
right?
less sort of one-off levels where you
Yeah.
complete a simple challenge, and more like these interconnected sort of. Okay, in order to unlock the jelly, like that you were talking about earlier, you have to go to a certain part of the level to sort of activate it, and then you can sort of start messing around with the way it lets you propel yourself around the field. So I think that stuff is pretty cool. Reese, have you messed around with any of the B-sides at all? Because I feel like those are sort of hidden collectibles, and they act as sort of harder versions of those levels. And so I went and did the one for the second world, and that one actually was on like some like Meat Boy level hard of just like I'm going to die like 300 times.
Oh god,
That's curious, yeah, because I've unlocked it. I've found a couple of those tapes which unlock that stuff, and that's cool to hear. I haven't messed around with it yet, but
also
I will.
the strawberries that you collect, so they act as sort of a way to have optional challenges of just if you can get through this level or you can get the strawberry, which makes it harder. But they don't, as far as they tell you straight up, like they don't do anything. They're just there for bragging rights, basically.
There are these collectible strawberries just scattered around the environment.
Remember the other day in the office? I won't name the person just in case they'd be embarrassed, but they're trying to say strategy RPG and they said strawberry RPG.
Oh my god, Kyle, that was you, wasn't it?
Let's just say it was. That's a very funny idea.
Yeah, that was
calling
funny
something a
that I said
strawberry
that.
RPG. So overall, the game is
It's really good.
Okay.
I like it a lot. I don't know what I would score quite yet, but if you're at all interested in that type of game, I would say check it out because it's like a high quality platformer.
one of the best platformers in a while. Fair to say.
Yeah, I would say.
Wow. There we go. A lot of people love it. Now we're getting to the meat potatoes here. Shadow of the Colossus. The remake-ish type thing is out on PS4 very, very soon. Kyle, you've played through this. You flew through it. Suriel, you flew through it as well. I'm just I'm on like the 6th or 7th Colossus on this playthrough. But the base game, nostalgia aside, is I think the best game ever made. My favorite game, and so I'm very excited for this remake. Out of the gate, the messaging on this has been so confusing, and I probably care more about this than anybody else.
Yes.
Because Blue Point Games was on the podcast a while ago explaining how it is still that original game's code running underneath this thing, and then it's a weird fusion of the two engines and the code bases melding together. But like on the back of the box for the PS4 version, it's just built from the ground up for PlayStation 4. And I understand they have to frame it differently, that it's not just another remaster or up-resing, a new port. But the messaging is all over the place. Like, it's not a complete remake from the ground up.
It feels like one, though, I would argue.
It's not. I think it is in a weird place where it's not like the Resident Evil 1 remake, where it feels like
exactly
they've. This is a brand new game that happens to resemble, Resident Evil 1. But it's not, like the remaster was just like it's in, 1080p now.
It's more in the vein of the Halo Anniversary.
Yes.
That's what I keep thinking of. Where you could switch back and forth.
Yeah.
And you can't switch back and forth in this one, even though the
Man,
developers
that
said
would've been
that.
cool.
They said 90% of the way through the game's development, they had that tech in there. So they
man.
could compare and contrast.
But they just hate consumers, and they said
Right.
take it away.
All you need to know that this game isn't a complete remake from the ground up, just look at the physics or the animations of the lizards. They're still all over the place. Just these weird, squirrely little polygons, which I love. I don't mean to belittle the game by saying that it's not as much of a remake as some people are making it seem, because I think Blue Point did an absolutely amazing job with this thing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, it feels like a full remake.
Yeah.
Which is why I think it's fair to put that on the back of the box, because we could get into the nitty gritty of what it took to write code to create this game, but like, it feels like a remake because they did remake all those Colossi.
Yeah.
Did you?
So what struck you playing through it again? You and Cyril. Like, what do you think was the most standout thing of, oh, thank God for the remake because of this? Is it just a reminder of how good that base game is? Or
I think it's something I never really thought about, but after reading Kyle's review and seeing that, they changed the controls, I was definitely like, oh yeah, they totally, this game kind of had one of those weird control schemes towards the end of the PS2 era.
It's tough to get used to.
Yeah.
Like, even just having, because default for Team Eco, I should say, is like a jump on the triangle. And now switching that, I can get used to it. I like having jump on X. I can wrap my mind around it. But the part that I still constantly F up is making aggro run is triangle.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
I constantly get an aggro and then jump right back off. Oh, damn it. Over and over and over.
I mean,
again.
that's just a matter of playing it and kind of because even in my brain, I would still hit triangle every now and then to jump like in the middle. But I think it was the right call to, because you can go back to that old style.
Right. They have all the control schemes
Yeah.
you could want.
But I like even just a little thing, and I believe, because I just played through the PS3 one like a year ago or so, is that like you had to press R1 and square to roll. And now it's just circle. And so that's just like one little simple thing. And it's like, well, yeah, that makes a lot more sense.
I didn't even notice that one.
Oh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
The one thing that I would say is unforgivable at this point. Overall, they did an amazing job and I hate being a stickler, but there is one thing I'm like, damn it, that bothers me as a stupid nerd more than it should, is changing the color of the grip meter from that like Shadow of the Colossus ass pink, which was a weird choice to begin with, but I connect it so much to that game, especially towards the end of the game if you're getting all the lizards, and that pink circle is just like basically a fourth of your SD monitor, you know?
So
and
you wish it was still growing. Because
No. I just don't like the fact that it changed it to yellow.
Oh, the color. So it's
Yes.
just because I do like the little tail, I guess you could call it.
So this is different, Reese. Have you seen this?
So
Have you
the
heard about
I
this?
played the original, but I don't even remember. I remember the grip meter grew. but
Yeah.
it didn't have the tail originally.
It did not.
No, it's a
Okay.
super smart choice. So what they did, instead of having it take over the entire screen, which also I feel like it has its own appeal in the original version, just feeling like you're breaking the game by how many lizard tails you're
Yeah.
throwing down your throat.
Which is the other fun, just a quick aside for that, is like if you beat the game a bunch of times and you crawl to the top of the tower, you can find fruit that lowers your health and stuff like that. And like the one thing I saw people like online saying with that, it's like, well, you can reduce the size of that if you want. Like it's an option in the game, which I just thought was funny.
But what they did now, they just right above the health bar, they put just an extension of that. So it's as if the circle's still growing and you just have a pinhole view on it. It's very specific and tough to convey in audio, I'm sorry, but it is the biggest change to the UI, and it's a really interesting one.
I like it because it gives you a better sense that you're actually expanding your stamina. Like
Yes.
I think I didn't realize my stamina was growing until I was like a good bit into the game the first time I played it. You know, because you get a little boost every time you beat a Colossus.
Yeah.
So now you actually get a sense of growth, which I think is nice. And
With
it's
a
also
little dongle.
it's a little easier to track as far as like watching the circle grow. I thought anyway. It ends up ultimately like the more important cues for like stabbing and stuff like that are related to what Wander is saying and where his legs are moving and stuff like that. But yeah, I like that UI change. I thought that was smart.
Visuals, what do you guys think?
That fur's real shaggy.
The fur looks so good. I also the eyes I like a lot. That was something I didn't really consider too much until I was fighting the Colossus that's under the sand, where he comes up behind you and you really like look it in the eye.
Yeah.
Like I even said in the review, like I feel like the Colossi have like kind of a like almost more humanity now because the eyes are more.
But their eyes are so simple.
Yeah, but I guess there's just more like they're cloudier and they're kind of moving a little bit differently. And then like the other thing that really stood out to me is like every Colossus you beat, the portal to the sky looks a lot more impressive now. And the skin on the Colossi, it just I don't know, it looks really good. Like they did a really good job.
They do a really good job of making you notice that this looks different. Like this does not look the way that it originally looked, but staying sort of true to the core of like this is the Colossus I remember.
And even outside of the Colossi though, I mean, just the environments. I mean, the forest in particular. There's certain areas where it's like, oh my god, this is so detailed now. It looks amazing.
Looks
There's-
like South Dakota.
It looks exactly like South Dakota,
Exactly
which
like
is
it,
exactly what I want.
I'm writing it in the wiki. This is where it takes place.
There has been some scuttlebutt online. Some people saying like, does it look too good? Is it weird to have something so detailed? Does it remove anything from the original game?
Just
I
making
mean-
it feel like it's a fantasy world
Well,
kind of a thing.
I think a lot of it, like the specific criticism was that because it was on the PS2, it had sort of like a quasi Silent Hill effect where it kind of looked a little bit foggy or dreamlike.
Yeah,
And that's not here, but I don't know
Right.
that that's. I guess I specifically never attributed that as like this is one of the game's defining qualities, that it's sort of dreamlike. And I get where people are coming from, but I don't think sort of that removing that sort of destroys whatever vision Ueda had for the game. I just feel like that was sort of a more practical limitation than it was an artistic.
I don't dream at 16 frames a
Yeah.
second.
I feel like it was a technical limitation that was functional at the time. Like I think of like in Mega Man X, there were moments where like too much would happen on screen and the game would slow down.
Explosions of GoldenEye.
Yeah, and when I was young, I was like, oh man, this is like it was a technical limitation that was like it was cool, and I was like, oh man, I'm doing so much that the game is slowing down.
Yeah,
And I feel like it's kind of similar here, where it was just like it was a technical limitation that functioned at the time, but I think it is improved by adding more detail. Like the world is more interesting to explore now, I think.
it is. Yeah, I mean, the only thing when Sony's been pumping these videos out comparing the two. It's fun to go and look at them, and like there's so many situations where you look at that original one and you forget how like blown out that original game is, and it lends to such a unique style, just how bright everything is.
Yeah.
And it's weird to see how detailed everything is now, especially like in terms of the distance. But I think Bluepoint did as good of a job, and also just it's worth stressing outside of the UI, like they were as faithful as they could possibly be. Like it's clear that they're have such a reverence for this classic game. It would have been so easy to remix things. And I feel like I don't know what that comes down to. I mean, what Sony says, how Sacred Sony compares it to, I'm sure it'd be like a studio by studio basis, how much they'd want to F with it. And to take the track of we're going to be almost as 100% faithful as we can be is wild.
They did add some collectibles that I don't think were in the original game. So
What?
usually, so when you raise your sword to find the next Colossus, your sword will glow blue, but in certain areas it'll glow gold, and so that's sort of your cue to find this glowing gold thing in the ground. And I found a couple of them, but I don't know what they do. But
And those are new, really?
I believe those are new.
Interesting.
I mean, Kyle could speak better on this, whether or not those are in the original.
I don't think they were in the original.
Right. So I don't know if those unlock some sort of, like machine gun or whatever like that will add to the game.
Machine gun jetpack.
Yeah. Just to really, fulfill that vision. But yeah, that's sort of the most different thing that I saw that is like, here's a new feature. But other than that, it definitely feels like it is very much that experience of just this you wandering through this very quiet and solemn, sort of like area to face different colossi. I think it is true to that, to the core experience of the game.
The game makes you want to cry as much as the original did. Do you guys have that experience? This game makes me want to bawl my eyes out every time I play.
Every time you kill a guard?
No. I mean, that's something as well. But just being alone in that environment with aggro, I just consistently get choked up, and I don't know what's wrong
when
with
you're
my
in the
brain.
middle of a battle and you call aggro and he like really screams aggro, like I feel it. You know what I mean? That's mostly on the vocal work, the original actor. But like, man, you feel alone there.
It's I always sort of imagine Shadow of the Colossus as like the extended epilogue of another much longer game, where it's like this is the final thing I have to do to revive Mono. But like I will say that one specific moment that I think the remake kind of drew out really well is the moment with the it's one of like the small bullish colossi where you have to sort of use fire or whatever to lure him out, and like there was a palpable fear in its eyes as I was sort of moving it backwards, and I don't remember having sort of that visceral experience the first time around with that colossi. So that was one of those things where it's like this is actually kind of powerful. So yeah, it is definitely a game that evokes a mood really, really well.
Did it ever make you feel like you just didn't want to play that game anymore? Like if you're that I don't feel like I want to be killing these things. Well, that's what I remember of it. And I remember really liking playing the game, but I haven't started it up again because part of me is like that experience in a way was not only awkward, like we're weirdly sacred. Mm-hmm. And I almost don't want to like go back to it again and try to relive that because I want to like kind of keep it precious.
You'll find yourself falling in that groove again, though. Yeah. It's not a matter of like, I don't know if I want to destroy it. Just rip off that Band-Aid and dive back in. It doesn't take long before it's like, I just need to keep going. This game is so much better than I remember.
Doing 6 stunts off of jumps.
We also have a 6-stunt video online if you're interested in that.
And like even years removed from its original release, I don't know that there are a lot of games like it of just giving you this moment of not only sort of fighting this majestic beast, but also just the way that climbing on those colossi feels like a game that no other game has like really tried.
Yeah.
Like some games let you, like Dragon's Dogma lets you climb on monsters, but it's really not the same way of just here's this enormous flying creature that you're riding on top of, and it feels like this huge struggle of you just basically clawing your way to the weak point and just like stabbing it and then having to do it again. And like
that one can die.
Yeah.
Playing it, I keep thinking like, I wonder if any faults in the original game's design will be more pronounced now in the PS4 version. And it hasn't really hit me yet. There's been a little bit of jank where like I shoot my arrow through fruit more often, like it should be hitting that fruit but it just keeps flying through. Weird stuff like that unless I'm from a certain angle. But is there anything else in the design that you feel like is glaring now?
I think that one of my biggest sort of frustration, which I don't know how much of it is just a specific thing to this run through, but I felt like I was being like wiggled a lot more often, just of like, okay, this I have to grab on as this Colossus shakes me and then I proceed. But it felt like more often like I was being shook and then all right, here we go, okay, I guess we're gonna keep shaking, all right, you're gonna do it again, all right, now I can go. Like it felt a little bit more frustrating.
I feel like that's just the game, but
okay, but I didn't remember it as much, so maybe it is just a thing that I just
right. And it sucks to be over analytical because it's not that hard to shift in the mind, especially if you're playing this game a couple of times throughout your life, is just getting the mood of like, okay, this is just the game slowly triggering giant animations. Like, all right, where do I have to go again to trigger this Colossus other animations that I can get to this one area? And like, if you get too scientific about it, it
kind of ruins the illusion. Yeah,
but you can't fault Shadow of the Colossus. Sorry, Kyle, do you have any things with the design that stand out with the remaster?
No, I was actually kind of something similar to what Surya was saying, where like there are little moments where the physics on Wander become very awkward and pronounced when you're getting shook around. But it doesn't bring the game down in any real way. It's just like sometimes you're kind of like, oh, that looks weird.
Yeah.
You know.
Overall, playing this game again, it just reminds me how insane it is that this game ran on a PS2.
Yeah.
It's impressive
Yeah,
on a PS4, and when the core of the game is still the same, you just think back on like, the PS2 handled this scale of a world and those giant creatures and those animations and Edgar's animations alone. It is mind-boggling that they pulled that off in 4 years of development for Shadow of the Colossus. That should have been
insane.
a Last Guardian-esque development hell, and somehow that team pulled it out still back then, and now it holds up so much today.
Yeah. Also,
the other thing going back to the game is, it feels like so many games, maybe in the indie space specifically, reference Team Ico's games for like, gameplay-based storytelling, kind of minimal plot, minimal lore. You get the broad strokes
only
pretty
like 4
easily.
cutscenes in the game.
Exactly, yeah. Which, by the way, I thought back to an old one-up interview that always made me laugh, where they asked Uedo about that, and Uedo's like, "Yeah, maybe we should have had more. I don't know. Maybe we should have put some more in there." It's like, "What? No! Don't you realize that's great?" But that was the thing: is the beginning of this game, it's more explicit with the lore than I remembered. I mean, there's a fair amount of setup in this game, including like the Dorman's mask, like flying at the screen that I forgot about. Where it's like, oh, it really is laying out exactly what's happening here.
I had a moment where I had to Google. I was like, wait, Wander talks?
Yeah.
It's like I didn't think he talked at all. But
Yeah.
he totally did. I just forgot.
I feel like so many games have just dialed it back further. You think of like the Inside Limbo vein or something like that from what they did back then, and now to go back to the granddaddy of them all, Team Ico's work. It's like, oh, you guys could have lessened this very basic thing that you're famous for even further.
I feel like a lot of people are inspired by what they remember the game.
They were going in the opposite direction because I feel like Ico was the one that was the most like black box, like you had no idea what was happening.
Yeah,
and then Shadow of the Colossus a little bit more, and then Last Guardian has the most story.
it's basically
to
like
it.
a solid 4.
That's right. Which I like all of their games and all the story. And I think Blue Point, would they do a Last Guardian remake at this point? Just like go
Reeves, I wrote down that joke, you jerk. You
son
stole
of
my
a-
joke. It is time to finally remake Last Guardian on PS4.
I mean, just to remake the PS3 version that never came out.
I would like to see an Ico remake in my mind. Actually, I know Shadow of the Colossus is everybody's favorite, but like Ico for me was the one that like wowed me, and like I have a special place in my heart for that game, and I would like to go back to it and see if it's as good as I remember it.
I mean, don't forget, if you still have a PS3 lying around, the PS3 remasters of both these games are amazing. And that's probably the way to go.
That's
for
probably the
Ico.
way to go. I agree.
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder if there is that financial incentive for Blue Point to go all in on Ico. Probably not.
Probably not. Shadow's the one that like
It
felt like their biggest game.
It'd be less work. Like there's no crazy Colossi after you. It's just environments and then like three character models and then the little shadowy dudes. They could knock that out in like one.
Oh, Blue Point are the experts and the masters of the remaster. They can handle it.
Yeah, but then there's Wander's face. It is not good.
That is the most glaring fault is every time the camera gets a close-up shot of Wander, it's like, oh boy, especially in the photo mode, which is great, by the way. It's absolutely amazing. Yeah. But rotating that camera and then just a big glob of his weird Barbie doll eyes.
He looks too young or something. He just doesn't look quite right.
He's got like little puffy cheeks or something.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It's gross.
But that's I mean, honestly, that's like really the only thing that I kind of call out is to, like not liking. Ultimately, it's just that I think his face does not look right. But every other visual element of the game, I think they
did a really good job. Right. I think it's tough because even the original, it is kind of like it's in that haziness, and it's like how much detail do you add to Wander's face?
I just remember him being more gaunt. I didn't really get the same sense that he was, which I really love. That like you're these things you're killing.
We don't need to spoil
you.
Everything. Yeah, I bet a lot of people are coming to it for the first time.
Yeah. Anyway, you should play it.
You compared his face, which I think is very apt, to the American cover of Ico.
That's right. Yeah.
That was their reference point for Wander's face in the Shadow of the Colossus remake.
Looks like it.
Music also is great. Stands out as being better than you remembered it probably.
Yeah, they added to it. It's a little vague exactly what they did, but they didn't re-record everything, but I think they layered it with more strings and stuff like that. They did revisit it, so and it was good. It's still great.
I realized that I had no idea who was the composer for this game. I went back and looked at it, and he hasn't done too many games, but it's fun to listen to the composer. I forget the name now, but look it up. Because he also did a lot of Godzilla movies. Japanese Godzilla movies around like the 90s, early 2000s, and listening to those soundtracks, it's like, oh, this just sounds like more Shadow of the Colossus music. It's really fun to check out. Yeah. So you actually reviewed this thing then, Kyle?
Yes.
What'd you give it?
9 out of 10.
Still amazing. Still the best game ever made, right, guys?
Man, it's up there. Like certainly in my top 5, I would say.
I like it a lot.
Yeah.
There we go. Ben Reeves.
Uh-huh.
Let's talk about your sins.
There they are. That's all I got.
Sinless.
Free. Good job.
The Room, Old Sins.
Yeah.
This is the fourth Room game? Fourth Room
Yeah.
game. These are little puzzle games on mobile that everybody loves.
Yeah, from Tommy Wiseau, the master of puzzles.
Sin.
Yeah, games. It's speaking of, that movie's very good. The Disaster Artist. Speaking of The Room, though,
we'll take it.
Blue Point Games made that, right?
that's right. They made the remaster. If you've never played a room game, it's like I equate it to an adventure game because you're manipulating objects on the screen, and it's all based on like squishing your iPad or like twirling things or like moving things around.
It's like a
manipulating
bop
with
it.
your fingers. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's really cool. It has a Lovecraftian vibe to it, so it's best played kind of with the lights out and like with good headphones. Like it's got a creepy vibe. I wouldn't say it's straight up horror though. Like there was no point where I like jumped, but I did like the kind of creepy mood. But yeah, it's really fun in terms of just manipulating objects. This one in particular, it's centered around this miniature dollhouse in an attic that you discover, and it's like in the 1800s, and you're looking at rooms, and you can like.
Are you like misting room to room,
Well,
as they say?
It's weird to describe, but you do have this special lens you wear that lets you see like invisible written words.
Are you walking around?
You don't see yourself, so it's like first person, but yeah, you're walking around this dollhouse mansion, and then you can like jump into the dollhouse. So you basically kind of like shrink down, and you're inside the room, inside the various rooms of the dollhouse,
Okay.
and then you're collecting items, and then in adventure game style, you're using those items in various environments to solve puzzles.
How would you rank this? How would you rank the rooms?
Like if I ranked all of the rooms,
Yeah.
games.
No, just like bathrooms, living rooms.
Oh, perfect. I would say there's a Japanese garden room that's probably the best.
Okay.
I would say the kitchen's really nice.
Yeah.
The living room's good. Worst room is the courtyard. Not even a room. It's outside.
That's true.
No, but is this one of the best room games? The best? Where would you?
I would say if you've never played a room game, you might as well start here. It's not like the stories. There is sort of a thin narrative around all these games, but they don't connect super well, and it's not like they're telling a well thought out larger story. So, and I think this one in terms of like refinement is probably the best.
Okay.
So this is a good starting point.
Right. Kyle and Cyril, I've been meaning to ask you too. How would you rank the Colossi in order from the best to the worst?
Oh.
I
really
well,
thought
I just
about
had a
that
little
very
thing
much.
here.
Right.
Best to worst?
Best Colossi to worst.
worst, okay.
Yes. Let's go around the horn. Just
Yeah,
each of
back
you
and
back to
forth.
back.
Use
yeah.
the most familiar names we have for these guys.
Yeah. Okay. I
Okay.
think you want me to start, and then you
Sure.
just go back
Yeah,
and forth.
yeah.
Okay. 13,
13,
5,
16,
6,
3,
3,
14,
1,
5,
14,
1,
15,
11,
8,
9,
10,
10,
9,
6,
12,
2,
11,
4,
2,
8,
16,
15,
7,
7,
and 4. I mean,
12.
Yeah. So
Cool. For now, Cyril,
Yeah.
do you want to get the hell out of here so we can talk about some fighting?
All right.
Bye.
clap.
Clap.
Out.
Oh.
Clap.
Welcome, Brian Shea.
Thanks.
We're talking about UFC
We are
nonstop. UFC 18.
just constantly. Wow, we do match Kyle Hilliard.
Thank you.
UFC 3.
Wait a minute. Really?
Yeah,
They
it's
don't
not
go by the year?
annualized.
Why not?
It's like every other year.
Oh.
So
that's
this
confusing.
is the third game that EA Sports has put out with the UFC license.
How have they been in the past?
The first one was pretty rough. The last one was better, but still like not quite to where THQ's UFC Undisputed series was when it ended in like 2012.
Okay.
But this one is, I would say, the best MMA game ever released.
Really? Do you feel like
Yes.
it's so good it reaches beyond that UFC crowd and just to the gaming crowd in general? Like I feel like the Madden reached a new audience this year. Do you feel like this UFC 3 could do that?
I don't know if you have to have like that base interest in mixed martial arts in order to enjoy the game. I mean, it's a fighting game technically, but like it's totally like you're not gonna go and play NBA 2K all that much without like some interest in basketball.
Know anything about baseball? Yeah.
Right. I mean, Reeves, you're a UFC guy. You go to Buffalo Wild Wings and watch the games and hoot and holler.
They're called
yeah,
games.
that's right. I probably watch. I've watched a few with Brian. I mean, honestly, like UFC guy in that I watch maybe like 3 of those a year.
Mhm.
Like I'm not like die hard and like those. I like it occasionally, and I do like it
Okay.
occasionally. You know what I mean? Like
What the hell are you talking about?
Do you like it, Reeves? I don't understand.
Occasionally. I don't think I've stated that yet. It's I don't know, an occasional pleasure. If that makes sense.
Occasionally.
So I don't know that would the game appeal to people like me who occasionally
Perverts.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would.
Okay.
The perverted side, I mean.
Sure.
Yeah, I think it would. Like, at the end of the day, it's still like two people are just fighting each other. Like, there are some
Okay,
like
I'm in.
some intricacies of like, all right, this is how like the ground game works, and like this is a strategy that real fighters use that like would help you. Just like in Madden, like you can go in and play Madden with like little knowledge of football, but like if you know what like a 3-4 defense is and like how to read zone coverage, like that's a lot more helpful. You know, like you have to have some. If you want to be really good, like having that knowledge helps a lot. But like if you just want to get in and beat the crap out of each other, like that also is perfectly fine. There's casual modes like knockout mode where it's like you have like set health and like whoever runs out of the health just gets knocked out, and it's like standing only, so you're just throwing punches and kicks.
Generally, zooming out a little bit, UFC 3 just nails the gameplay, refines the gameplay more, or is it one of those sports games, fighting games, where they just add so many great new modes that's what pushes it over? Because you gave it what score?
An 8.75.
Okay.
So it's a combination of the two. So they redid all the striking. So like all the stand-up stuff is completely redone, and they redid all the animations. So like the transitions between like moves is a lot smoother. The strikes in like the past games kind of looked a little awkward with like how they connected, or like sometimes like they'd both throw a punch at the same time, so their arms would get a little tangled up. Like now it's a lot more natural looking. And they added a huge career mode. Like they redid their entire career mode, which was awesome, where it's like now it kind of has like a loose story, but it's not like Madden Long Shot where it's like an adventure game pretty much. It's like you start off as like a local fighter, and then you get noticed in the UFC and you get brought in, and then you start climbing the ranks and earning different contracts. You have rivals that you can trash talk on social media.
Really?
Yeah.
In the
like,
game?
Yeah, like they'll talk crap with you, and like you have like a choice of like 3 things to respond, and like at different points in your career, like responses, like if you're a total asshole to somebody, it'll get you more fans in one point of your career, but like if you're like a lesser known fighter talking crap to a better fighter, like you're like the fans will drop off, and like
This should be its own game.
so you have to become like the goal is to become the greatest of all time in the career mode. So you have to get 6 performance records. So like just breaking records for like most knockouts in your career, most like performance bonuses,
most retweets.
Yeah.
Well, that's the other thing is you have to get 2 promotional records. So like when you go into training camp, each week you have 100 points of like time points to allocate. So you can choose to use those to train and like learn new moves or boost your attributes, or you can promote using those. So you can like get on Twitter and post or social media. They don't have the Twitter license. Or you can like attend an event as like you can do like a meet and greet at a local restaurant, or go to a UFC gym and promote that. Like
Is it funny?
Some of it is like, it's not like I think some of it might be a little unintentionally funny. Like some of the example tweets, and like going in and coming out at every single fight, you also get a loading screen with like what people on social media are saying about your fighter.
Delete your account.
Yeah, along those lines.
Okay.
I've made $1,000 a week.
So
But, like-
Hanson, would you play a Telltale UFC game? Is that
At,
what I mean?
Oh,
in a
God.
heartbeat. In a heartbeat. And then I've cooled on Telltale overall, but absolutely, that sounds fascinating. You wouldn't?
Yeah, I probably would. Honestly.
Okay. That'd be the most interesting
Occasionally.
license they could pick up.
It would be super weird.
I've
honestly.
been meaning to ask Brian Shea
What?
if we just move this podcast table out of the way, could you beat Ben Reeves in a one-on-one fight?
Yeah,
Could you beat Ben Reeves and Kyle Hilliard in a one-on-one fight?
that would be a 1-on-2
That's
fight,
not
but
No, we would merge, Reeves and I.
Kyle, I think we
a
can
little
take him.
Voltron action.
Basically, I'm trying to
120
figure out how
pounds?
many of us it would
Kyle.
take to take you out, because you have muscles, I guess.
Nah, not really.
You have nice hair.
I do. Yeah, I mean that's like +5 in my power.
Uh-huh.
You're like
You
Samson,
allocate
is that-
a lot of your points to Twitter, so
Twitter and Instagram and hair.
No, but seriously, Kyle, if you had the opportunity, would you punch Brian Shea?
no. Why would I punch Brian Shea?
I mean, that's the thing is I don't want to fight.
Have you
Ben
seen what he's been
Reeves.
saying about you on Twitter?
no, I
He
don't.
said
I
delete
don't.
your account.
I use all my points on other things. I don't use my points for Twitter.
Sarcasm and daughter.
and sick ass stunts.
Oh, all right, whatever.
Cool. So 875 for UFC 3.
Yeah, very good game. There are some improvements that they could make, like in the ground game or the commentary. Like it's really weird. Like the presentation's awesome, but like the commentary, like John Anik's the new play-by-play commentator. He comes in and does a great job in his first thing, which is usually a problem for sports games because they have to kind of start the bank of voice lines from scratch. But like he actually did a really good job as his first time.
He never runs out of stuff to say.
And then there's Joe Rogan, who's the other UFC commentator, and he apparently
I wish he would run out of things to say.
Well, he kind of does because he doesn't have he has very little new voice lines.
Did they just rip old news radio quotes and just put it underneath?
But like it's very noticeable like when it's like they're supposed to be going back and forth like talking to each other about like what's going on. It's like this is something I heard him talk to the last commentator about, but like now he's supposed to be interacting with
We get it, DMT. We get it, Joe
and then all right, on it. We get it.
Did you memorize the script for UFC 2?
No, I played. I mean, I played both of them a lot.
Okay.
But and then also like sometimes they're contextually unaware. Like I knocked somebody out with an uppercut, and they're like, "What a vicious head kick!" And I'm like, "All right, that was incorrect."
There's no truth in this art. Turn it off.
But yeah, other than that, like I think it's a very very good game.
That's awesome. You know what else is good?
What?
Emails from the community. You guys want to answer some?
Let's do it.
There we go. And welcome back to the Informer Show. We have some great emails that people send into podcast@gameinformer.com. Feedback, news stories you want us to cover, questions, words of wisdom, advice. Reese, what was your suggestion?
Lists. They should send us in lists. Like, here's like 5 characters in video games, and we would argue over the rank. Like,
so
what's the
basically,
best?
send in things to rank.
Yeah, send in a bunch of things to rank.
Fanfic.
Okay.
Pizza toppings.
Yeah, let us rank your fanfic. Whatever you want. Podcastinginformer.com. I'm going to read off some of the emails that we got here. The best emails we got. Sorry to everybody else that wrote in. Every email's great, though. And then we're going to choose the tippy top best, the very best, and then ship that person out something very, very nice. Like we sent it out to the Zune boys last week, which was a lot of fun. Also,
the crew, the Zune Boy crew.
they're a squad. Man.
Our Zunies.
Yeah, they're gathering
They
together.
should play Sea
Hey,
of
y'all
Thieves together.
Zunies.
Before we even get to emails, though, I always like a heads up on this. Next week's episode, we're talking about our next cover reveal. But strangely, before that, tomorrow on Friday, we're wrapping up our God of War coverage with an interview with the creative director for the new God of War.
Cool.
So that's a bonus episode coming up. And then next week, we're diving in deep on some gameplay impressions and some interesting stories about a trip for the next cover story from Game Informer. It could be anything.
Oh.
This is fun. I love it.
What is it?
I always love learning what the next Game Informer cover story is from the inside, so I hope it's fun for the outside. It is one that is worth celebrating, Reeves. Anyways, David Simon writes in and says, "Hello, GI crew. After hearing you guys argue about the Final Fantasy ports to mobile on last week's podcast, I feel like I needed to jump in. As a mega fan of Final Fantasy, I've been trying to get my 6 and 9-year-old children to play them. To my surprise, my 9-year-old daughter doesn't like Final Fantasy 4 through 9, so I experimented with Final Fantasy 3 on iPad. Come to find out, she loved it. Touchscreen mechanics and weird 3D animation is a much easier transition for her."
Huh, it's almost like Dan was wrong.
He's not.
He's not? Oh, okay.
Look, and to be fair, I think that 2D art style for 6 and stuff looks like garbage as well. I'm just arguing that.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm with you there.
Yeah. But the interesting here is Final Fantasy 3 and I believe 4 on iOS, it is that DS remake polygonal style, which I will defend. I think that's fine for like simple polygons for remaking those games. So this is a different thing, but I'm glad that it kind of proves the point that kids like good games. Let's see. We got a lot of emails about something that I don't think, maybe I was just out of the office or tuned out, but I don't feel like it got much discussion within the office, and the internet let us know, hey, Game Informer, why aren't you talking about this? This is crazy. So basically we have Alan from Portland and Kenzo Uji wrote in, Scott from New Cumberland, Pennsylvania, all saying, hey, talk about that Xbox Game Pass stuff. It's crazy you guys haven't covered this. So what this is Xbox has their separate subscription service where you can pay $10 a month and you can get access to some old games, right? So they have like, Halo 5 on there. They have some staples. I think like, I'm sure there's a couple Forza games on there, and they have the rotating old crew, kind of like EA Access. Microsoft recently announced that all Xbox exclusives, day one, will be included in Game Pass.
Yeah.
So this is the Netflix for games that some people have wanted for so long, but only for the Microsoft exclusives, which you could argue, how many of those are there really? It's an amazing announcement, but when you start breaking down the numbers, it might not be as crazy as you expect. But as people have pointed out correctly, if you are planning on buying 2 Xbox games a year, then it's worth it just to go ahead and get this Xbox Game Pass and then have so many
per
extra
month,
games.
right? How much is it?
$10
It's
a
10 a
month.
month.
$10 a month.
So
Okay.
stuff like Cuphead and PUBG would have been on there last year if this had come
That's
out.
a good
Ooh.
question. I doubt it.
You don't think so?
Uh,
Did they
Maybe
day one?
Cuphead. Yeah, probably not PUBG.
well, I mean, they're both
Well,
on
I guess
PUBG is
Steam.
published
I guess
by Microsoft
PUBG.
on Xbox, right?
Yeah, but it's also available on the other system. I think
Yeah.
primarily this is like, they even said in their announcement, like, hey, the next Gears of War
Microsoft
game.
Studios.
Yeah. By the way, they quietly announced that there is, in fact, a Gears of War game
Yeah.
in development, which they haven't announced so far, I don't think. And then, like, hey, next Halo game, next Forza game, like those types of things are going to be on this service if you pay $10 a month, which is pretty wild.
In addition to the stuff that's already on there and the other stuff that
Yeah.
might come on. Like, it seems like a pretty good deal. I'm kind of still waiting. Like, I'm maybe in a weird camp of, like, I play a lot of stuff on PS4 anyway, or PC, and so
Sure.
I still don't use my Xbox One as much as I should.
But that's what people are writing in about, saying,
But
hey, you
now-
idiots, stop being PlayStation fanboys.
Now I don't even know if I'm a PlayStation fanboy. I
Yeah.
just like them better.
You're wearing
Look at your
PlayStation
sweater.
For the audio listeners, he's wearing a Christmas sweater that is the ugliest PlayStation themed thing I've ever seen a human being wear.
It's I mean it's tough to say because it really is. It is a time will tell thing, you know.
Yeah.
Like when is Gears of War coming out? When is the new Halo coming out? When is Forza coming out? It's like it's so far away to just start throwing $10 a month down now.
Yeah.
Feels kind of like it's a good deal.
But there's
when
plenty
you-
of
when you
games in
do-
the back catalog. that
Yeah,
you can
that's
play.
true for sure.
I think
yeah.
I looked. Didn't they have like BioShock Infinite? They had some like good games on there, didn't they?
Last
Last time
I was
looked,
digging
it
through
was
it.
a while ago.
They
All
just
I-
put all their garbage.
I
out
think
there.
Sunset Overdrive, right?
Could be, yeah. I was just bummed out digging through it because it didn't have the Master Chief Collection. That's all I wanted. It's like, they have Halo 5, which is probably better for most fans, but it's like, I really wanted the Master Chief Collection. So I'm
It's
not
just
gonna-
it's tough. Just any monthly thing, regardless of the benefits of it, any new monthly thing that I have to add to my getting pulled out of my bank account every month just makes me pause, and I'm hesitant to do it.
Well, subscribing for online services, getting like Xbox Gold,
Yeah,
all that
like
stuff.
because I have Netflix, I pay for Funimation, I pay for Hulu, and I don't want to
Love.
just keep the show on Netflix.
No, just love in your
Pay
life.
for
okay.
the love of your family.
But yeah, and I don't like adding new things to that, even if it like financially will work out. Like I just like as a fan of games, I would just rather pick and choose exactly which games I want and
Yeah.
like just buy Halo 6.
It feels kind of like, I don't know if you guys have heard a lot about like the Movie Pass thing. Like that
Yeah.
subscription, it's like, yeah, that probably makes sense. I go to so many movies, but I just like picking and choosing. I know financially probably isn't going to work out mathematically in my favor, but I like not being chained down to
yeah, because
subscription.
even I did the math on that, and if I did 3, if I bought one for every member of my family, I would still be saving money by going to the movies. But like, because I go a lot, but
Yeah.
I don't want to keep adding things that I will forget about that are getting pulled out of my
and
bank
that's on
account.
us. That's on us. But what do you think
Yeah.
about the larger just industry concept of Microsoft saying, hey, all exclusives moving forward? Polygon wrote a piece recently about like, hey, Microsoft is desperate to buy some more exclusives and get some more studios under its belt because it is tough to sustain a lineup.
It is. It would sort of elevate the good games, I think, in a weird way. Like the ones that are, rather than like the hype leading up to them, like getting it sales, like the more important sort of like player numbers would become a much more important factor than sales numbers, you know?
Well, that's already what Microsoft's pushing forward. Like when I went to some event and Phil Spencer got up and talked to us, he was talking about daily active users and monthly active users more than he was sales, which I mean might be a
All
result
they
of
have,
the fact
yeah.
that, Sony's killing them in sales, or was at the time. But yeah, I mean that's a metric they're already relying heavily on.
Ideally, I'm saying I would hope that it would encourage just like better games in a weird way. You know, like I feel like Netflix's original content is really good
Yeah.
because they can just focus entirely on what people will watch as opposed to what people will buy.
If you're cynical, however, you might say, maybe this is just paving the road to get more people playing those good games, and then we can nickel and dime them with microtransactions.
Yeah,
along the
which
way.
is scary. I definitely don't want that for
Right.
sure.
But if you look at the track record, the leaning that Microsoft has had over the years with the Halo series, with Forza, everything, it's definitely leaning in that way. And maybe everybody's just remounted in a big way after Battlefront 2, and maybe they'll course correct. You never know.
Or if you want to look at it optimistically, maybe this is another way to try to find that sustainable way to like sell games, because they're like, oh well, $60 isn't enough, so let's just like see if we can get it by having this subscription service.
I wonder if they would convert into that subscription service model rather than like putting things out a la carte. They're just like, they are on Netflix. where it's like, here, you can access all of our content that we put out, and you want to like give us money because we're putting out good content. Do you think the business model would ever shift that direction?
So you mean like getting rid of buying games altogether and just like
Buying games on a disc, right? I guess.
Yeah.
Wait,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
don't
understand
know.
what you're saying.
That they would. Do you think that would ever happen where they would shift to like if this kind of thing
The
took
only
off?
way to play Halo 7 is if you're a subscriber.
As things,
Oh.
I mean, because that's really the way you watch The Crown, right?
But
Is
you
have
can-
to subscribe to Netflix.
but you
right?
can buy Netflix shows on DVD.
Not
like,
all of them, though.
Some of them.
Yeah, but some of them you can.
So maybe
Oh, really?
the bigger
all the
hits
Marvel
that
ones
come
you
out,
can.
you could probably buy separately. But that model of like we're just going to put out a ton of content and it's all good, and you want to give us money.
It's an interesting idea. I don't know.
Maybe
It's-
as things become more and more digital, that might make a little bit more sense.
Yeah. Everybody that wrote in is totally right. It is a bigger deal. And it's also just crazy to think of Microsoft committing to this. Like, they can't come back from it. Can they?
Oh,
like,
they can't come back.
there's no going back. That's a one-way door of saying, this is what we're doing.
Well, honestly, if they're only putting out like 2 games that are worth buying every year, like it's a wash for them.
Maybe the trick is they have no exclusives planned at all. And so, like, you sign up for this, like, oh, I can't wait for all the Microsoft exclusives. And then they don't exist.
And then they laugh. Lightning crack. But yeah, wait and see. I
You're
think
a sound effects
E3.
master, I gotta say.
Thank you. E3 should be interesting. I'm curious to see how much they address it in their presentation. I think they'll say a lot. Jacob Wisdom has an interesting question here. It says, I seem to remember a time when you couldn't find a video game magazine without a demo disc in it, but I don't remember Game Informer ever following that trend. Is there a story there? I marched this email. I got it hot off the presses like it was the Post, and I stormed across the bullpens, and I talked to Andy McNamara about it, and he said, don't bother me. I'm playing phones. I'm like,
He was
Phones
very
on
confused about what he was doing.
playing
apparently.
phones.
he was playing a game on his phone. No, he's like, oh, that's because we're like primarily subscription based, and having demo disc is great for newsstands, but Game Informer's never been huge on newsstand sales, and so that's the easy answer for why that is.
Oh, that's interesting.
I always loved having demo disc though. I remember just combing the shelves, being like, I just want the demo disc, forget the magazine.
Oh yeah, I had a whole booklet, like a CD booklet, that I would put demos in, and I would carry it around with me. I wouldn't actually carry it around with me, but I would collect them. You know,
You
That
still
was
have 'em?
my first game on PlayStation 1 when I got that. I bought PlayStation 1 to get Tony Hawk's Pro Skater, and I didn't have enough to get Tony Hawk's Pro Skater along with a memory card and a PS1, so I just had a demo disc from like Pizza Hut or something.
Yeah.
And that was my game for like a month and a half.
How did you play it?
On the PS1. I bought the PS1 and a memory card, but I didn't have enough to get Tony Hawk as
Oh,
well.
I see. Okay.
So I just had the demo disc for like a month and a half.
That's all you need
it
is
had like
Jam-Pack
Spyro the
Volume 3.
Dragon and like
Yeah, and I loved it when it was like the square ones, like the square grid, and then there were like secret. You know what I'm talking about? Where like you would hit
Yeah,
L1 or
found any of
R1 and it would like rotate some panels around, and then you could put in that code to like play another demo or watch another movie. Which, thinking about it now, those companies just got screwed over. Like, okay, you're going to be on this demo disc packed into all this stuff. You're going to be the secret video that fans won't be able to find. It's like, ooh, what a deal for Croc 2. Please look forward to it.
Croc was one of those. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Nick from Texas says, hey, crew, recently my wife and I welcomed our firstborn son into the world.
congratulations.
Now I know how Reiner feels. Stop giving that guy a hard time when he talks about his kid. But we can still give Kyle a hard time?
Yeah,
Just to be clear,
it's
Nick?
interesting. He called out Reiner.
Yeah. And anyways, he says, as time's limited, when I get to play video games in my life now, I'm noticing that I'm exclusively playing Ubisoft titles. This got me thinking. If you could only play games from one studio for the rest of your life, which would it be?
Nintendo.
Blue Point Games.
seems very.
Best remakes. They remake all the games, so
That's true.
That's a very interesting choice.
You get to play every game like 7 years after it comes out.
but a better version of it.
That's true.
It is true.
You'll never know what you're missing.
But yeah, it's gotta be Nintendo, right?
So-
They put out stuff. They put out enough stuff and enough good stuff.
I think
that's
this
the
question's
thing.
more fun if you focus in on like one development studio. So
Okay.
is it like EAD or like which subset? The Tokyo studio, you got to choose like
I mean,
which.
it has to be
Nintendo.
EAD, right?
I guess so.
But like I thought, like the first one that I went to was Rockstar, but then I was like, but they only put out a game like every 3 years.
Good luck. GTA Online's still fun.
Play Dead.
oh my gosh.
the rest of your life,
Every 4 years, you get a 2-hour game.
Yeah,
it's the worst choice you
like
could
a
conceivably
really
go
good 2-hour game.
with. You'll savor it. You got to go Blizzard. You have to go Blizzard.
Yeah, I was
Back
thinking-
catalog. It's in terms of keeping
Yeah.
you completely busy, variety of experiences.
Yeah, they really do have their bases covered there with like the different genres.
Done deal. Done deal.
That's a good one.
Dunpeel?
Done Peel. Tyler from Greenwood, Indiana says, "Hey crew, I recently beat Transistor by Supergiant and I really enjoyed it. It seemed to have a pretty ambiguous story and it left me somewhat confused, but the gameplay mechanics were interesting enough to keep me engaged the whole time. However, when my buddies asked me if they should check it out, I couldn't encourage them to do so. Have you ever enjoyed a game and not been able to recommend it to others? It feels odd to say, hey, this game's pretty effing cool, but don't really play it." Have you guys ever run into that situation?
Somewhat. I remember working at GameStop, and like I loved Shadow of the Colossus so much that like anyone that walked in the door, I was like, please, for the love of God, play this game. It's so amazing. And I remember really, really convincing this regular customer to take it home and play it, and just being absolutely heartbroken when he brought it in the next day to like return it. I was like, no, you don't understand. You have to play this. And he's like, I beat the first Colossus. I don't think it's really for me.
Oh no,
It's like 10
Was he
minutes.
crying?
I was crying.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. So
That's tough. My answer was a similar vein where I feel the same feeling with Last Guardian, where it's like there's so much to love about that game, but I don't know if I want to inflict the worst parts of that game on friends and family by recommending it. Do you know what I'm talking about?
yeah, like there's a caveats to the recommendation.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
This game will make you want to throw a controller and scream at the top of your lungs because some of it's such garbage, but the best parts are some of the best experiences in gaming you'll ever have.
Yeah.
It's so tough.
I think it's one of my favorite games I think I've played in a long time, but Persona 5 is just so long that
Yeah.
it's like, if you can't commit 120 hours to this game, like you're just going to be disappointed. You know, like it's super fun from start to finish. It's great, like presentationally. It's just that like you're going to look back and be like, man, I wish I had more time to play that game, but you're probably not going to have enough time to get to the end.
you said finish though.
I did finish it. I
What?
know that
I don't
it's
know
a
if
Your
foreign
mic-
concept to
Your
you guys.
mic is cutting out. I don't really
I actually had this conversation last year with somebody where I was like, yeah, there's this really interesting game that came out. It's called Hellblade,
Mhm.
and like describing the like weird like visual effects that happened, and they were like, man, that sounds really cool. Maybe I'll check it out. And I was like, oh, well, actually, I don't know if you'd like it. I was like, I had to have this other. I was like, and he's very confused. I'm like, and I'm like, I don't know. If you're out there, like, you should check it out. I guess.
I guess.
I don't know. That's a weird one to recommend. because
Yeah,
I do think it's
totally.
an interesting experience. Then I'm glad I had that experience, and I don't really want to ever have that experience again. And it's a hard one to recommend, but it's an interesting game.
Right. Well, I mean, speaking of good games, Nick DeFeo from Columbus, Ohio writes in and says, "Hello, gang. I don't want to misquote, but I believe a few episodes back, the group talked about God of War and how it's a reimagining of the series. I was wondering, what game series do you think has a close to perfect formula and doesn't need a reimagining? I'd like to throw Borderlands out as my example. Are there any game series where it's like, that's just perfect, just don't have with it anymore?"
Can we remove all the dick jokes from GTA? Does that count?
Wait,
It's
what?
Like a more serious, like just not as
So you-
juvenile.
You like the
GTA?
formula of GTA, but
The tone, I think.
the
makes it
tone.
work.
I think that's a little different.
Yeah.
Gameplay
That
wise,
might not
it's
apply to
perfect,
this
right?
one.
You love looking at little letter icons on a map and then going there?
Yeah,
That's the
fine.
formula that you just love?
Yeah, that works.
Okay, that's a good time. I'd go with 3 here, Nick. The 3 perfect game formulas, the Mount Rushmore of game formulas that they should never change and keep cranking this stuff out. Number 1, Amplitude. Number 2, Paper Mario, original Paper Mario. Number 3, Her Story. Just keep cranking out that formula. I'm fine with that forever.
I think we've reached.
Those are just games.
Correct.
Okay.
I think we've reached formulaic perfection with the Mario Kart series at this point.
Also Formula 1.
They haven't changed that formula for Mario Kart.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. It's perfect.
Okay, great. We're in agreement.
Well, when they messed with it, they got rid of battle mode or like classic battle mode with Mario Kart 8, and then they brought it back with 8 Deluxe, and I think that it's a much better game because of it.
Why did that feel so weird?
I don't know.
Does everyone feel weird now?
Well, I think
I
it was
feel
the bomb
gross.
of Formula One
Ugh.
that
I
really
thought-
set the table.
I
Really
think a
derailed
lot
that,
of people
Hanson.
laughed. Yeah, you're right.
I
That's
think maybe we're just not hearing the listeners laughing.
right. Send in your laughter, please, to podcastgameover.com to that Formula 1 joke.
Please record it and prove.
What if
that
you
that
got?
was
What if you
funny.
got it? How long is this podcast? 2.5 hours.
Oh, this one
What
with
if
the game
you,
club is like
what if
16
you got
hours.
like a 2-3 hour audio file of just someone just kind of like chuckling periodically as they listen to the podcast?
Boiling noodles?
What if we got every listener to send in their laugh, and we made a laugh track
Oh.
every time we had a thing like that?
That's easy, right, Hanson? You can do that. Do
Okay.
that. Send Hanson your laughs.
Please. Tom Awesome from Roseville, Minnesota writes in
Good
and
old
says,
Tom.
Awesome.
Hey, Ben and crew, what are your thoughts on having the Super Bowl in Minneapolis? Are you enjoying it, or is it a pain in the ass? Also, Tom writes in and says, Brian Shea is the man.
Hey, he knows his
To bring it down a peg, though, Brian, I saw a YouTube comment recently that just said, is Brian Shea still a thing? I don't know what that meant.
No, and I never was.
I guess not.
Oh, you spelled it wrong.
Super Bowl Minneapolis is a very localized thing, but that'll really upend your city more than you think. It is crazy.
It's neat to kind of see all the stuff going up.
There's so much stuff and closing down streets.
Yeah,
I mean, military tanks rolling around in Minneapolis.
There's like a big inflatable Paul Bunyan
Helicopters.
Really,
flying
it's
over the
not
city.
all that different than when I was in Pittsburgh and they were shooting The Dark Knight Rises. Like military things driving down the street.
I don't think you've ever talked about it on the podcast, but literally Brian Shea is in Dark Knight Rises. You played Bane, right?
Yes.
Okay.
No, but I was
No,
among the first group of people, not like Christopher Nolan, that saw the Bane costume, like Tom Hardy in Bane costume.
And that voice.
Yeah, well, the voice was different when we shot.
Believe it or not, this is what I'm going to sound like.
I was like,
We're not going to redo this.
It was harder to understand, like in person.
Going through it.
Yeah.
I could see that for
But
sure.
like, it was also not like he obviously re-recorded that stuff.
Yeah.
I also have trouble understanding Christopher Nolan. He's got a weird accent.
Michael Caine says he's very soft-spoken.
Oh,
actually.
really?
Yeah.
I don't believe it. So how many football players did they kill blowing up that thing?
There were like, I think there were like 7 or 8 holes that they had in the ground that like stuntmen fell through.
So they didn't blow anything
They
up.
did blow up. You'll get a kick out of this, guys. 69 explosions
Nice.
for that scene.
Cool.
That does seem cool.
Oh, because the
What was the
69.
Yeah, the sex number.
The sex number. You guys know. The sex number.
Jesus Christ, you guys.
It's neat. We'll
Christian
see how it goes.
From
Did we answer his question? Oh, yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Mall of America, also surprisingly affected by that.
Yes, deeply emotionally affected. Christian from Yakima, Washington, pronounced Yakima. Well, I never. Says, hello, GI crew. I really enjoyed the interactions you have with game developers and publishers, such as the roundtable discussions about Breath of the Wild or Smash clones, basically getting other developers together. He says, however, I've noticed that with the exception of the Greg Miller interview back in 2015, Game Informer doesn't have many interactions with other game media sites. I was wondering if there's a reason for that and if that's something you might be interested in. I personally would love to hear JV talk to Austin Walker from Waypoint Games, Suriel to talk to Ben Pack from Giant Bomb, Dan Tack to talk with Dan Stapleton of IGN, talk about PC stuff. It's an interesting point. I would love to do more of that stuff. I love the kind of crossover. I think part of it is
their competition, dude.
whatever.
We used to have Dan Reichert
get
on this
real.
podcast.
Yeah,
Pretty
that's
regularly,
true.
actually.
And we were competing with just the Dan show at the time.
That's right.
Yeah, just his life that is the Dan show. But yeah, I love
That
to
would
do
be.
more of that
It
for
would
sure.
be cool for sure.
Yeah, part of it is like, we're out in Minnesota,
Yeah.
nobody else is, and so it's less communal maybe. But we love all those guys. We like other sites.
Yeah,
There's great stuff out there.
We like them a lot when we see them at events.
Absolutely.
Except for one person.
You know who
We
you
won't
are.
say who.
David from Austin writes in and says, hey, GI crew, I recently found myself wondering, do you all ever find it difficult that video games are both a job and a hobby for you? I'm working on a PhD in classics, and I 100% love what I do, but it is super rare that I get to the end of the day of a long day of work and have any desire to do anything remotely related to that work. Do you ever get to the end of a day and find that you're just too worn out on games, or are you able to separate fun gaming from work gaming?
I mean, most of the time when I go home, I do play games. Like that's my entire evening is I'll play games all night.
Really?
However, there are like if I'm at work and I'm playing a review game for 8 hours and like I go home, like the last thing I want to do is play a game. So I'll go for a walk or I'll watch a movie or something instead. But yeah, I would say like 6 out of 7 days a week I am playing games.
I love that Beatles song. I don't get sick of games. I thought I would when I first started here a long, long time ago. But it's like, no, I just go home and play games and listen to podcasts about games, then come back to work and talk about games.
You do never have to play a game for work in the same way we do.
Not for review, but I
Yeah.
mean, I'm constantly sitting at home playing stuff for
But
the podcast.
it is. I don't tire of it though. The one thing I had. This is a weird one, but like I played through Shadow of the Colossus. I had a print deadline, so I had to get the review done, and I had the review done, and then I immediately moved over to Iconoclasts. But I wanted to keep playing more Shadow of the Colossus. I wanted to do the time trials. I wanted to play it on hard. So I did run into this thing where I was at home, where if I was playing Shadow of the Colossus, I felt guilty because I should have been playing Iconoclasts. So that's like the one like weird thing I run into. But I do still want to play games whenever I go.
Yeah, I've
home.
never had that problem either. I like playing games, even if I haven't all day. Like play games here. Like usually you're having to play games for work, which aren't always the first game you want to play. So when you go home, you can now I can play the game I actually want to play. Like,
Yeah.
that's how it is.
Also,
That's the truth.
they're games. Stop complaining, everybody.
Yeah.
It's funny because when I
No
started
complaints
here,
from us, absolutely.
I was like, oh, I can get back into some of my old hobbies that, like, because I used to write about games after I would come home from my full-time job that wasn't game related, and I would, I was like, oh, well, now
An actor in Dark Knight Rises.
exactly.
Okay.
So when I started here, I was like, oh, I'll be able to get back into all those old hobbies that I had before I started writing about games and playing games like every waking moment I wasn't at work.
Yeah.
And that just hasn't happened. Like I've not gotten back into guitar or comics as much as
I
I'd
feel
like to.
ya. There's this weird
Gross.
thing, like when you work in an environment where everybody plays games, like you're always talking about it all day, and it just sort of makes you want to play games more.
Yeah.
I think there's a weird echo chamber there effect.
Mhm.
If
Yeah.
that's the right word.
Sure. Jesse in Scottsdale has, I don't want to tip my hand, but the best question. Let's assume everyone on Earth has 100 hit points. What is the real world equivalent of losing 1 HP?
Eating a banana.
Like food, eating crappy food, drinking a soda.
100
fan.
times would kill you.
That
That's what you're
is
saying.
it.
Paper
Smoking a
cut?
cigarette?
1/100th. Paper cut's interesting.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
people have smoked 100 cigarettes. In
Yeah.
That's the tricky part. Is like you'd need like
Oh,
1,000.
wow.
it needs to be a thing. I think my first gut
1,000
reaction
hit
to this
points.
was, stubbing your toe.
That was
Yeah.
mine too. Like in my head, I thought that.
But you
But
can stub your toe 100 times.
yeah, exactly.
Well,
That was
I
the
don't
other
think you
thing.
need to be that literal.
Yeah?
But I think stubbing your toe might even be like a 3. I think it super sucks.
Do you
Okay.
get potions?
No.
No.
Paper cut's good.
So is this a situation where you recharge your health automatically?
No.
No, you have to go to a little prayer station.
It
like Shadow of
creeps.
the
It
Colossus.
creeps down. Like it'll go down and then kind of lift back up. But like,
Oh, it's like a fighting game meter.
You get the
thing?
little red meter, but some of
Yes.
it doesn't fully recharge.
yeah.
Okay.
and that's
That's
always
really good.
creeping down as you get
Yeah.
older and older.
I think
Stubbing your toe is good.
I think
Yeah.
that's more than one.
I stubbed my toe really bad the other day, like bleeding, dripping blood. Thought maybe I should go to the hospital. But
That's a 5.
it was at least a 5, maybe even a 6.
I think maybe getting shot.
Yeah,
Like in the leg.
in the head.
Is that like a 40?
That's like a 1.
Yeah. Well, Brian Shea's a
Like you've
tough
seen
UFC
50
guy.
Cent, right? Like that dude.
Yeah.
It's like
He's
we
at
test this
literally
formula?
bulletproof.
That's his HP. It's 50.
That's very true. I'm gonna go with.
I like paper cut.
Paper
Yeah.
cut's a
100
good
paper
one.
cuts that might kill you.
That would
Decimate.
Yeah.
What about like a really bad Charlie horse? Is that a 1?
No.
Also, Jesse is wondering if you had to guess, what is the lowest your HP has ever been and why?
Ooh.
Gosh, it would have to be like a food poisoning situation.
So
probably.
have you guys have you ever almost died?
I thought I was going to after that Formula One joke bombs. I felt death
No, like
creeping
literally. I
around.
think that's a good question.
Well, one
right
time
there.
there was that thing where there was that supervillain at that football game you went to. That
Yeah.
was pretty scary.
So I have legitimately almost died.
But hang on, if a bullet whizzes by you in an RPG, you're not losing HP. So that's not this question.
That's what I was thinking about. There's been moments where I've been close to, like, if I had been 2 feet over, I would have died.
That's
But
not this.
That's not this.
I mean, like,
Well,
have you
okay,
ever
yeah.
been in a situation where you have, like, if this did not happen, like, exactly the way it happened, I would have died.
If
Like,
you weren't rushed to the
here are
hospital.
my examples.
what's
I
the
have
lowest
almost
your HP has been?
no. Let him tell the
I wanna
story,
hear
then we'll
the
get back to
story.
the question.
So once in Cub Scouts, which is the little kid version of Boy Scouts, we were all sitting around the campfire, and we were laughing really, really hard. I was laughing at really, I don't
Did
even remember what it was. Probably something dumb like that. But I laughed really hard, and I started falling into the fire.
What?
And my dad happened to be standing behind me,
What
and
the
he reached over, grabbed me by the back of my collar, and like pulled me back as I was falling into the fire. Like,
Whoa.
I have multiple questions.
Well, that's interesting.
Why didn't he grab the little lapel thing?
because he just grabbed whatever he could.
Right.
Like,
I have a question.
his
Why did
son
he
was-
grab you?
I think being grabbed by Brian's dad's like the 1 HP scenario.
and then the other time college, I choked on a piece of chicken and had to receive the Heimlich maneuver.
Oh, that's interesting, because that
Mm.
could be an HP.
Yeah.
That
That was like, it was beeping down, but the second you got...
I was like
You
blacking
can hear
out.
the Metal Gear.
I was like literally
Yeah.
like it was like Call of Duty where like the black around the borders.
Literally, it was Call of Duty in your
yeah,
brain?
like people were shooting at me. I was ducking
my
behind
God.
cover. My friend was like, "Let me give you the Heimlich."
No
And-
Russian. I
Yet.
think this is maybe cheating, but because I wasn't conscious, but like I had my gallbladder and my appendix removed at the same time. So there's
that's
probably
right.
some
I do remember
freaky
that.
bloody crap going on. That's
Yeah.
probably the lowest HP I've ever been.
Well, you were in a lot of pain before, like leading up. Like you went to the hospital because you were in so much pain, right?
yeah, and they said you're having a panic attack. Go home. By the way, your gallbladder's
Did they really
exploding.
say that?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Doctors, who
that's
needs
pretty
it?
good. I don't
From
know if I have anything
probably
like
when I
that.
had mono, like I was really, really bad when I
But
had
how
mono.
low
Like
is
you
your
felt
HP when
really
you're sick?
bad.
I
right?
felt
you
like
felt
garbage.
you
I didn't
could
have.
die.
I didn't eat anything except for like crackers and Propel fitness water for like 2 weeks.
It's no joke. I mean, that's why she's named that in Shadow of the Colossus. That's what she's
Oh,
sick
she's
with.
suffering from
She's
mono?
suffering from mono.
Oh, that. Oh my. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
People don't know that. Reeves, what's the lowest you've ever been?
Like well, that's the thing. If you're like feeling really bad, which you do when you're sick, how low are you really? Are you like 90 still?
I think
Because
so.
you're not really that
I think
close.
so.
to
it
dead.
depends
I
on
think
how.
so.
Like like the flu. You're probably unless it gets really bad.
You wouldn't be
like-
popping that potion.
Because I don't think I've ever really been lower than that, honestly.
Like
'Cause
just
I've,
being
I've
really
been,
sick.
I've been really, really sick and felt like I was at a 1, but
Yeah.
like realistically,
no rush to the hospital. Be
I've
told you
never-
have a panic attack. Leave. Go back later and get major surgery.
I
Yeah.
did like skin my shin to the point where I had to go get 7 stitches.
Oh, I remember that. I knew you then, didn't I?
Yeah, you were the creepy 7-year-old boy behind me.
That's right. No, but did you mess up your shins and you had to go to
Oh,
E3?
that's different. I didn't
Oh, that
have
was a
stitches for
different.
that one.
That was a different.
yeah,
shin
a different
mess up.
shin-related incident.
Is it true that your dad ripped the skin off your shins? He reached over and grabbed the skin
Brian Shea jumped behind him and grabbed my dad.
and then lit them both on fire.
That's right.
I once had 2 sprained ankles at once, simultaneously.
How funny did it look when you walked?
Oh, it was bad. Yeah.
Boop,
This
boop, 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 boop.
was
Did
like
you
a
look like
year
a-
before I joined Game Informer.
Did you
actually.
look like a penguin?
Well, I did have crutches, so.
Did you feel like a penguin? Okay, I think that's a good round on that one. Let's see. Matthew from Seattle, also killer question.
Okay.
Matthew from Seattle, Washington, that is, says, "Hey GI
Is that a
crew,
joke?
What was that?
hey crew,
Formula One.
very simple yet fun question for you guys." I like that Matthew's calling his own question fun. We'll be the judge of that. But yes, it is. Since the Final Fantasy games are distinct and separate from each other and share the same names across the series, barring the sequels, what unique name would you give any of them as if they were their own IP? An example I came up with is Bros on the Road, Cup Noodle Quest for Final Fantasy 15.
Marketing's not his strong suit, I don't think.
Hear it out. Clearly it is with that cash tie and a
Bros
cup
on the
noodle.
road.
All right, so Final Fantasy 7, Reeves.
Uh-huh.
You know, we
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
did it on the Game Club 16 years ago. If it was not called Final Fantasy 7, what would the name of that game be?
The world ends with you.
I was thinking, like, what is 7 about? I love zooming out that far. Like, what is that about? I guess it's just about
Cloud's Adventure.
I think no, that's the lamest thing I've ever heard in my life. It's a game about identity, ultimately. Like if you had to boil it down to one
Madman.
word, Madman, Sephiroth.
Am I helping you?
No.
Okay.
I think it's a game about identity. I'll go on a limb, so I'll go with
Okay.
Crisis: Identity. That'll be my name.
Oh,
for
Crisis
7.
Core.
Well, different, loosely connected.
He does have amnesia, so it could be Amnesia: The Dark Descent because you're kind of like going into Cloud's mind.
Absolutely. You could just name it after a character in the game and just call it like Genova's Chen.
Oh,
What a journey!
how about this one has the gun sword?
Oh.
That's 8.
Okay.
For 8, it's just called
Yeah, this one has the gun sword.
What about like for Final Fantasy X, Blitzball, and also some other things, I guess.
I guess.
Mm.
15 could be pretty much Ninja Turtles.
Pretty much Ninja Turtles is a great name for a game.
I really like that name, Kyle. I think you're wasting it on 15. Why is it pretty much the Ninja Turtles?
Because the 4 guys, they're just the Ninja Turtles.
But they are nowhere near as cool as the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah, I don't know that. Have you honestly, did you play Episode Ignis? Because I think you'd change your tune if you
yeah,
played
that's Donatello.
that. Oh, I see.
man.
Episode Donatello, pretty much.
What about 6?
Okay.
There's that opera
The
scene.
one with Kefka.
No, come on.
The
Real
world,
names.
Okay, all
the
right.
world basically does end in that.
So
something
the world's
about-
going to end?
Yeah, like The Last of Us or something
At-
like that. Just like the
Damn it, you guys.
You're really sticking to this bit. I like it.
Well, Final Fantasy X has a lot of like religion stuff, and the monster in that you could probably go Divinity: Original Sin.
Okay.
Wait, what is the ultimate sin, right? Like,
Yeah.
that's the... Okay, yeah.
in
Yeah,
10, yeah.
Yeah.
You could also go with I think this joke format has run its course.
No. Okay, last one.
let's do the
Real
Tales
name.
series
Real
now.
name.
Okay.
Real name.
Final Fantasy name. Final Fantasy name.
Final Fantasy
Final
Is my
Fantasy
answer for-
Nate.
For Final Fantasy 9.
Final
That's
Fantastic.
the dumbest game in Parser joke. Final Fantasy name.
I like it. It's just some guy Nate. His quest.
So stupid. Okay, Final Fantasy IX. Marketable name. No
Okay.
more jokes.
Okay.
That's
So let's. I haven't played a ton of 9, so I know that this isn't my name, but it is the one with the guy with the tail, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And there's also you have the wizard guy. What's
you
his
just
name?
saying
Vivi.
Dragon Ball Z
Vivi.
stuff?
Yeah.
Well, technically, I am saying Dragon Ball Z stuff, but I'm just the things that stand out to me are those 2 characters.
That one has a giant tree, right? What about just calling it the World Tree?
No.
No, that's a good name.
Well, I mean, there's a lot
guess.
of like woe in that, and I think that at
Shut
one
up.
point,
Stop. Yeah, I'm having a tough time zooming out
Is
on
it-
9.
Is
so
it
like,
an
what is that about?
What's that world? The Yggdrasil?
Yeah, Yggdrasil.
Is that in the game? Because that's like a
I don't know
thing
if
that
that's
goes.
what they call it, but yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's very. This is. I was gonna be like, it's very fantasy.
Tree of Might.
Shut up, Kyle. Okay, let's see. Final Fantasy 9. You'd call it.
Isn't there a princess on your
Yeah, you'd call it like
Queen's Quest?
You'd call it Castle Friends.
Secret Princess?
Castle. I like Secret Princess.
Yeah, Secret Princess.
What
You're going with Secret Princess, Riz?
That's right.
I think I still like Queen's Quest. I feel like we really shuffled over that.
But the queen is just like a big fat moron that dies super early.
Oh,
in
okay.
that
do you
game.
remember
Princess Quest.
that
Yeah.
section
Princess
in Final
Quest.
Fantasy X where you have to dodge the lightning?
Yeah.
I think you could probably say lightning returns.
You could call it Tony Hawk Pro Slayer because that's what I named my
Yeah.
dude.
Hang on, I'm going to write into podcastinginformer.com and tell Shay to stop with that joke format. Here I go.
When I did that, Hanson pretty much had a humana.
Email of the week goes to me. All right. Great question. Kyle in Iowa is wondering. I was happily reading through my God of War issue of the Game Informer magazine when I noticed an advertisement for Game Informer's 300th issue party
What?
at Fulton Brewery in
What?
Minneapolis. Awesome, I thought, and promptly secured my fake ticket, which guarantees me nothing. What the heck is this, folks? Should I come to this thing? What is this? Great question. On next week's episode of the podcast, we'll talk about it, but there is indeed an ad in the latest issue of Game Informer that says, hey, if you like beer and you like Game Informer, we have a certain issue coming up. You can probably do the math at the Fulton Brewery, but we'll talk about it next week. I do believe. So stay tuned for that.
Sounds like a tease.
Billy from Gloucester, Virginia, killer question here says, I think you're all familiar with a rocket jump in a video game. My question is, do you think it'd be possible to perform a successful rocket jump in real life?
You can try.
No.
No.
That would do like 98 HP damage.
What if
to
you had like super protective, like an umbrella at your feet that was like
No.
could?
No.
I mean, isn't that what getting launched out of a rocket, like, or a cannonball at the circus? Isn't that a rocket jump? I mean, isn't that an explosion at your feet that sends you
Different.
flying?
You have to be in control and aim
I
it down and
feel like-
hold the cannon.
Yeah. I think you'd probably die
Yeah,
if you tried this.
Don't do it. Don't
Do not
it.
try
Dude,
this
dude, seriously, don't.
at home,
Come
at
on.
work.
Seriously, dude.
Hey,
at
Billy, are you listening?
McDonald's.
Don't.
Get it through your head.
Come on. Henrik Mortensen, great name. Hey, hello. Over the years of my gaming career, I've struggled with some strange words from either English or Japanese games, like Pikmin. In Norwegian, which Henrik Mortensen is from, he's from Norwegian.
He's from Norwich.
Shut up. He says, in Norwegian, pick literally means dick, and min means mine. So when I play Pikmin for my 8 and 9-year-old nephews and their parents ask what I play for them, I say dick mine, which ain't exactly my dick, but it's pretty close. Another example, this is interesting, is Ash and Bosch from Final Fantasy XII. Ash means ew, and Bosch means poo. Like those exact words, ew and poo, are on your
pretty
team.
good.
This was hard for me to write because I never swear. Does anyone else from other countries have the same problem, or am I all alone? I'm sure a lot of people do. Also, Henrik stands out for closing his emails with "hate your show."
Hate your show. That's really funny.
That's really good.
But
I'm assuming he's being sarcastic.
in Norwegian, hate means love.
That's right.
Oh, thanks.
What do you guys think? Kan du snakke norsk?
Isn't there a character named Butts in one of the Final Fantasy games?
In 5, yeah.
5, yeah.
It's not a joke.
Excuse me, I'm so sorry.
That's no joke at all. But no one else has that problem. But I'm glad that you're experiencing that in lovely
That's
Norway.
really good.
Thanks to all the international listeners, by the way. I always love seeing like, oh, this person's coming from a
it's cool.
place other
Yeah,
than
how
where
how
we
can you
are.
prove it?
He wrote.
He wrote
I guess
hate
we
your
can-
show.
Yeah, we
They
can
need
look
to
up
take
the
a
literal
picture of
translations.
Norway.
Yeah, send in a picture to Norway.
Don't
Norway
just
podcast,
Google
Google
a
it.
picture of Norway.
Yeah, come
and
on.
throw it in
We
there.
can
be
tell.
lazy.
We
We just
can
send
tell.
a picture of a map of the Norway on the map.
Very silly.
I am here.
What do you guys like? Email of the week.
I like the 100 HP.
The
yeah.
HP, it's hard
I was
to
gonna say
beat.
the HP one. Yeah.
That might be email of the year.
I
And we're
think
only
that's
in January.
So fun. I hope
February,
that they didn't,
sorry.
I hope they didn't take that from something else because I think it is such a good question. That is Jesse from Scottsdale. Thank you, Jesse. Scottsdale, God's country. We'll send you out something real nice. Thank you so much. Great email.
Take a picture of Scottsdale to prove that you're actually from there.
Stop it. So many people wrote in, Reeves, saying like what they do. Like we
Really?
got a lovely one where it's like, I deliver mail while listening to the podcast. It's like, oh, that's fun. But so many other ones were like, I don't know, I sit in my room. Thanks, Ben Reeves.
I have a weird voice. Hello.
Anyways, Jesse, email of the week. Thank you so much. As for now, Monster Hunter World. We're talking about low rank fights, hunts, systems, UI, everything under the sun with Monster Hunter World in
Palcos.
our biggest crew yet. So get ready for that. And welcome back to the Game Informer Show, and welcome to the first ever GI Game Club for Monster Hunter World, everybody! Fantastic. It sounds like it's just me if you're just listening to the audio version, but I assure you that is not the
There's lots
case.
more people here.
There's a lot more excited people here at this table. We have Jeff Cork,
Hi.
Monster Chief himself.
Meow.
Then we have Jeff Marchiafava,
The other Jeff.
someone from the first expedition, Lele Tobin from production. You say hi. No, Lily, you really have to shout it.
Hi.
Okay, if you've never seen Lele before, she is a graphic designer here at Game Informer who's a huge Monster Hunter fan. She was on the replay, and I got a lot of emails and tweets, people demanding Lele be on this game club, which is awesome.
Oh, wow.
So pressure's on Lele. Then we have Dan Tack
Hey.
and Joe Juba
That's me.
and Leo Vader in the booth. And also there's more people in this building. I think I'll just keep on naming them and keep going around the horn. Monster Hunter World. We are talking, I'm excited for this game club because we're always so narrative based. Like we talked about Uncharted 4. I think some of you were on that one. And it was one of those things where I think we got one email that's like, what weapon do you guys like? It's like, oh yeah, there's gameplay we should talk about in Uncharted instead of just the story beat to story beat. And so with this game club, it's going to be very, very systems heavy, very combat heavy, very hunt heavy, Dan Tack. Right?
You know, we have the Pokemon Game Club had almost no story to talk about either, so it's not like completely.
I feel like we
by
talked a
itself
lot
in
about
that
story with Pokemon Game
We
Club.
talked about how
Maybe
bad
too
it
much.
was.
It was not great. But with this one, we're talking about low rank fights, low rank hunts, but it's loose. Like if you haven't, Dan Tack, you're in the camp of it's tough to spoil this game. We're going to be talking about some hunts maybe you haven't gotten to, but
I'd
we're
say
not going to
there
spoil
really
it.
isn't anything to spoil. As
Yeah.
What if you were to say something like Rathalos is in this game? Is that something a fan would find to be a spoiler?
I can't. No, not for one thing. That was well known like before the game came out. So
Okay.
like, I mean, they can expect to see familiar. I'm just saying like this is a very difficult. Most of the stuff in this game that is meaningful, it's you fighting the monster, not just
Yes.
knowing the monster is there.
Absolutely. And so this is part 1 of the game club. Part 2 is going to be talking about everything else in the game, high-end fights, Elder Dragon fights, all that stuff. So if you have thoughts on those, send it into podcast@gameinformer.com and stay tuned for the next episode. But for this episode, let's get going here. Monster Hunter World, everyone's been playing it. Just to set the scene, should we go around and give like an hour count of where roughly we're all at? Cork, you've been playing it for a while now. Do you know where you're at?
I have no idea.
Upwards of 20?
Oh, for sure.
What's your star rank or whatever? What are you?
17 or 18, I think.
Holy.
Okay.
All right, Jeff
I
Cork
didn't
is
know
a
it went
serious
up there.
man. Father, how are you doing?
I've played about 15 hours.
Okay, Lay,
I've been really busy with
no excuses.
children,
Just
so under 10.
That's fine. That's fine. We love all ranges here. Dan Tack,
Around 85 hours.
Joe Juba.
I'm probably around 10 hours also.
Okay, I'm around like 16 myself, but I'm very bad at the game, so I'm probably not that far relatively. First question from Walters here. I love this question. Howdy, GI crew. Hello. With you guys playing now the final version of Monster Hunter World, I have to know if turtles are confirmed. Ever since hearing your first impressions talking about the game when you previewed it, Tack spoke of these turtles you can go up against. When I heard this, I was really excited, hoping for it to be true. If there are, in fact, turtles, this would be a literal game changer. Dan Tack, now that you've played through the complete game, there be turtles?
There is no turtle boss.
Oh.
There are heavier.
So wait, so you lied?
Heavier. I never said that for one thing.
He said,
I
for
didn't.
example, turtle.
I said for example. All right, there was never any. I never actually said there were going to be turtles in the game.
So you can't get a turtle in your little cute room or anything like that?
There might be a cute pet turtle or something. To pick
Oh,
up
still
like that.
keeping the door open.
Doors open
But,
on turtles,
and-
everybody.
And to be fair, I'm pretty sure I haven't seen every monster yet. I'm still
Really?
discovering. And we should talk about this in the next show. But even after campaign is complete, you are still discovering and learning about new and more dangerous monsters to fight and beat.
if you had to wager $100 on there still being a turtle in the game, would you take that bet?
No, a turtle. I think a turtle would just be too cute, and like
Okay.
you're already bashing some like hilarious, stupid things like the Great Dragus, which every player has seen. That's listening to this probably,
Such a cakewalk.
or like the Kuluyatu or whatever it's called. Like just these monsters that don't really do much in the way of offense. Like
Yeah.
to put a turtle in as an end game, like light you up, you're going down thing. I don't think it's gonna happen.
That's what I called for in RPGs. Like the
They did
defense
it-
is always crazy.
I know they've done it.
They did
I
it
know they
in
have.
Final Fantasy 15. The super boss is an enormous
Final
turtle.
Fantasy, for some reason, loves turtle bosses. Okay, and
That's
they always
true.
go in their shell, and then they do a big move when they come out. But let's not talk. We're not talking about Final Fantasy today.
We got a couple other random thoughts before we dive into the meat of this overall game club, I think. Anthony from Houston, thanks for writing in, Anthony. He says, hello, crew. I'm loving Monster Hunter World, but I just cannot get over the lip syncing during cutscenes.
Oh, man.
It's abysmal. Especially the handler. It seems like half of her lines are delivered through a grin and clenched teeth, as if she's trying to keep her eternally positive disposition while struggling with a stomach ulcer.
Is that just
Everything else about this game is great, though, he says.
Is that just a function of like if you have it in Japanese, the lip syncing lines up, and they didn't
I
bother
think
to
so.
go over?
That's
it
what I
again?
was wondering. Yeah, you really have to play it as though you are watching a dubbed movie.
What do you guys think about just the cutscenes? I know this is not the highlight of Monster Hunter, but just the story so far. Has anything grabbed you guys?
I feel like
No.
it's nice that they're taking a little bit more effort in that realm. It's certainly not a story game by any stretch.
Yeah.
But it does have more there than previous entries where, it's literally just, hey, the monster's out there, go get them.
Like the big set piece Dora Magdaros, like first encounter, like trying to chain it down and stuff. I was actually really impressed by that entire thing. I didn't expect such a cinematic mission in the game.
Mhm.
Lele, how do you think the story compares to previous Monster Hunters?
The series really never has had much in the way of like compelling storytelling.
You've
It's sort
avoided
of
it
just, like,
before.
get quests, like. So for me, it's not that important. I think it's probably more to sort of fit what's normal in like Western games and what
Okay.
would appeal more to like a wider audience.
But do we find it appealing? Like that's the question.
it doesn't bother me. It's
Yeah.
kind of fun. I like having the little like cinematic cutscenes mostly because it's fun for me to like take screenshots or like just have a moment to pause.
Yeah, with your artist's eye. A lot of those monster introductions I think are really cool. Like the
The
Bareth one
ecology-
in particular, where he's like going in slow motion, firing at it. I think it's sweet.
Yeah, they're fun.
Yeah.
I want to jump in on something real
Yeah.
quick that Jeff said though, which is like you have to approach it like it's a dubbed movie or something. I think that does a big disservice to dubbing though too, because like, well, no, because like there's actually an art to doing dubs in terms of like writing the words and the timing to at least make it look like they're talking when words are coming out, and like they didn't even do that basic level of due diligence on this. Like there's just someone who's staring at you, mouth not moving at all as like dialogue is happening, and then their mouth starts. It's really distracting.
Are you talking about in the cutscenes or when you're like walking around town?
Like in the like cinematic scenes.
Okay.
I don't know if
haven't
that's
really-
true in the like really high like rendered ones or whatever,
Yeah.
but
It's driving me crazy on that cover story, Cork, because Cork and I went on the cover story. We were in Osaka playing the game in Capcom's headquarters, which was strange, but we played like the first 10 hours or so back then. And playing it there, it was just driving me nuts the entire time. Of like, God, the leader, like the team leader, his voice is so familiar. It's driving me nuts.
Yeah.
Is it Matt Mercer? But he's like McCree. Most importantly, probably he's Leon Kennedy. And so that's the thing. It's like, oh, of course, Leon. That's where I've heard that voice so many times. But last little oddball here. I don't know if this is a legally binding name, but he says, hello, Mr. Hansen. Jamie Lee Turdis here with a few observations. I'm new to the series. I'm finding the rabbit hole fascinating. The gameplay is currently enthralling, while the story and setting I wouldn't touch with Surreal's creepy spider digits. It's a podcast callback that Surreal's cool
Well
with.
worth it.
Yep. The real topic here are these cats, the palicos. The health department would have a field day at that canteen. The worst part isn't even eating their filthy cat food, but the fact that you participate in their enslavement? They call you Meowster? What's going on with the palicos in this game?
They're your cat pal. I mean, I think you're reading a lot into the game that's about killing, fake monsters that don't exist, and it's cool to have little cat companions. if you want more cats, in fact, the last Monster Hunter game for 3DS was all cats, and it was really annoying. So I'm glad we're back to regular cats.
What do you mean all cats?
There's cats everywhere. It was Palicos were everywhere. They owned they were in every town.
They
were
what,
everything.
Monster Hunter
You need to
Story?
like catch them and
Is that
level them up and trade them like
Generations?
Pokemon.
Oh,
and
okay.
stuff.
That one.
Oh, those
So not
generations.
story. I'm
okay.
not counting stories.
Yeah.
And who's to say that they're saying master and not Mister? But when you put meow in there, I
Well,
think that
I played a
Jamie
female,
Lee,
so I think-
Jamie Lee Curtis is showing his bias a little bit there.
It could be. Also, real quick, Robbie from Tampa, and actually some other people wrote in too, with just the idea of, I think it's because, what we talked about previously in this podcast, I think it's because Shadow of the Colossus is back in everyone's mind, but a couple people did write in, like Robbie here, saying, like, you guys feel guilty at all? Lele, I saw when we killed Toby Kadachi with each other, you were the first one to be like, oh my god, no!
I feel that way when I fought Bareth. Like, I just think he's a cool dude hanging out.
I like full on cry every time I kill a monster in Shadow of the Colossus. So like,
Right.
Yeah.
So this is at a much, much lesser scale for feeling guilty in any way.
it depends a lot on the monster.
Bareth, I felt worse about because he's just at one point he just sort of like goes and takes a nap in the mud, and I'm like, I'm gonna go murder that napping mud
He's like a
monster.
big dog.
I mean, let me address that a little bit, just since we're in the early hours. That will certainly change. They do the earlier monsters, I think, are a little bit more sympathetic.
Okay.
You will not ever feel guilty about taking down an Elder Dragon.
Oh,
Dan
no.
straight up
Comparison.
bloodthirsty for those Elder Dragons.
They're very angry monsters.
It could be, but
They
just
will
like,
chase you down. Okay, it'll be the
Oh
other way
man,
around.
I
yeah.
love killing the great Jaguars. I like imagining it's kids that I'm orphaning.
you don't have to
as a-
imagine. You see the Jaguars,
Yeah,
and the
yeah,
Jaguars
yeah,
buddy's
yeah.
like staring at it, like,
Yeah,
Daddy, no!
But
Yeah.
you know what? There's always another great Jagger out there. It's
And then
okay.
I'm like, I'm going to convince you to join my team. You're going to like it.
Oh, Joe, you sick F.
Yeah, that's true.
Willie Plum really dives into it here. Plum in the depths saying, hello, crew. What I wanted to know is which weapon is everyone's favorite? Personally, I'm using and loving the Insect Glaive. I'm super stoked for this game club, and hopefully Lele is on the game club.
Oh, jeez.
Well, Willie, I hope you're
Wish
happy.
fulfilled.
Mission
All right,
accomplished.
this is it. Now we're diving into the whole kit and caboodle, the meat and bananas here. Jeff Cork, what weapon are you using?
Light bowgun.
That you're sticking with that. You loved it on the cover story trip,
Yeah,
and you're just
I'm
riding
a
it to the
huge fan
grave.
of that. I like dropping the Wyvern Blast, I think they're called, like the mines. I love getting in close, dropping those, and then blowing them up and causing a lot of AoE damage. I like being able to shoot things from a distance, obviously, because it is a bowgun. And it's nice to be able to do some of the environmental traps without switching to the slingshot thing, which I still don't have a great grasp of that.
No.
Because I don't have to, because I'm just using a light bowgun.
So what happens when like a monster gets all up in your face when you have the light bowgun?
I drop a Wyvern Blast and shoot it, or roll out of the way. Like, I stay very close. Like, I've got all my mod slots for it are used with extra damage when I'm up close, because it isn't intuitive, but I'm like all up in their faces, just like point blank range with this light bowgun. Like, so it's a ranged weapon in name only in many instances.
Do you think the range stuff is slightly easier? Like, just two people that I'm playing with,
No.
they both took down Anjanath solo, and they're like, oh, it wasn't too bad. And they both had ranged weapons. So, like, maybe that's my problem here.
I'll give them some time. The
They'll
range
feel
weapons
it.
are more complicated, I would say. Having my main, I don't want to jump ahead of the line here, so I'll wait. But I'll address that when I come up.
You can say it.
No, we're going around the horn.
Look, there is no horn, Dan. Just say what
All right.
weapon you use.
So I main the heavy bowgun, but I did change in this game to experience the longsword. It's my first time using that in the series. So even though I'm still a huge fan of heavy bowgun, I needed something a little bit more faster as I got to the end game solo, because I was having some real trouble with reload times and stuff like that, giving the Elder Dragons a window and stuff beyond the Elder Dragons a chance to just blow me out. So without that reload time and dealing with that kind of stuff, that helped a lot in taking them down.
why do you think this game gave you more trouble solo than previous ones using a heavy bowgun?
I don't think it did. I think it gave me the same amount of trouble. Just at this point, I was just like, okay, well, this time I have enough materials to make a sword of the same quality. Let's give it a shot, Let's try one of these other weapons. I was going to do that anyway, but it was going to be post-game. But I ended up doing it a little bit before then. And again, still mastering all the ammunition they're going to need later. Like, Agenath's one thing, but, making sure you got your poison stacks, depending on the gun. That's the crazy thing. Every gun is good at something. One of them is going to function better as, say, a shotgun weapon that uses 3 kinds of spread ammunition. Others will focus on crowd controlling the monster so that you can pelt it with cluster bombs. They've all got their own little quirks, and you won't even know that usually until you've got the weapon in hand.
Do you run out of ammo mid-mission with those things?
Absolutely. The good ammo anyway.
Yeah, you've got like normal ammo that's like
You have
an
unlimited-
infinite supply.
You have crap ammo, but if you're using that, you better have that thing almost dead because it's not even going to feel it.
Weird. Corky, you scared going to the endgame content with sticking with the gun then?
Absolutely.
Are you just crapping your
Well, I
pants?
think with like the heavy bow gun though, the reload on that is appropriately very slow, and you are just sitting there with your pants around your ankles as it's happening. It's quite awful. Like I built one just to see what the difference was like, and I was like, I don't like this. Like it does a lot of damage, but you are so vulnerable. I'm kind of interested with the insect glaive. Like I have not messed around with that at all, but I like conceptually what little I know about it.
Yeah, I think we found it on the cover story. We're going through the training area and like capturing footage, and I was dealing with some swords and having a fine but really frustrating time. And then we're going through the training area. It's like, insect glaive, this is the coolest thing I've ever seen. So I've been riding that since the beginning. I absolutely love it, and I very much don't understand it. Is anybody else playing with insect glaive?
I started with the sword and shield and then switched to the insect glaive for a little bit, but I was going up against Bareth, and I just don't think I figured it out against someone that was so defensive like that.
Right.
But I was enjoying it, and I do like that you have the vault mechanic with it.
Vaulting, Joe, have you seen this?
No.
You should check it out. As a fan of like stylish action games, and that is not what Monster Hunter is clearly, but I think it'd be up your alley because it's so effing cool to vault, like use the pole basically to like launch yourself in the air. Then you have two different rocket jumps essentially in the air. You can rocket jump, which is what I'm going to call it, which is not appropriate. And then every time I do my attack, if I hit the monster, then it keeps you in the air. And so it's just continual series of aiming your slices in the air. And if you keep hitting it, you just stay in the air for so long. It's awesome. And you end up riding that monster so much more than the average player.
I think I need to do that actually. So again, I'm jumping ahead in the line, but it's like as someone who is like still trying to get into this series, like I played it on 3DS and used the dual blades there and seemed to like it, and that seems to be, I was talking to Dan about this earlier, it's like seems to be a decent sort of, hey, if you're trying to get into Monster Hunter, this is a good, like the dual blades are fast.
Okay.
They sort of cut in a horizontal, like they have like a horizontal swath, so like precise aiming isn't really necessary. Anyway, what I'm getting at though is I'm struggling to actually like have a lot of fun in the combat because it's like so straightforward, just like third person action. And I ran into that. I also, on Dan's recommendation, tried out the longsword, the katana.
Yeah.
And I was running into the same thing. So like I think even though I am a person who is like still trying to really sort of like latch onto the fun of Monster Hunter, I think I need to try one of the weirder or more complex weapons to really like make it sing for me.
That's interesting.
That's why I switched off of the sword and shield to begin with, and I ended up landing on the giant hammer, which I thought was going to be very basic, but it actually has kind of these weird charging powers with it and spinning attacks and stuff like that, and I've enjoyed it much more since I switched to that. It also does a crap load of damage,
Yeah,
which is nice.
That one, like with the great sword, it's really fun. Just it's a continual game of trying to get to that end game combo, right? Of just like, okay, 1, 2, oh, that was cut off. 1, 2, 3. All right, now I can hit it. And just having that constant loop within these larger battles is so much more fun. But that's the part. You guys, Lele and Dan, kind of the Monster Hunter experts, is it naive to say that some of these weapons are too simple?
I would say it's definitely with the longsword. I have not tried the dual blades in this current game, so I don't know if anything's different. But the longsword has some nuances that you definitely don't see if you're just doing thrusts and slashes. Like there's a move where you take the blade and hold it back and then shoot yourself sort of at the monster. If you aim it correctly, you'll shoot up into the air after it and do this crazy cool like katana, very anime style slashing down that will cut him like, many times if you aim it right. So, and can also enable a rodeo too, which is great. So
I love enabling rodeos.
Yeah, me too. So
wait, but the insect glaive has rodeo thing also, right?
The insect glaive is the
everybody
rodeo
does,
weapon.
but because you spend so much time in the air, yeah, you end up landing on the thing a lot.
Okay.
Dan, can you help me out with the kinsects? Like
I mean,
launched them.
I'm not even going to claim to be an insect glaive player here. So
There's this whole thing where you have like little buddies, and you send them out and you get like stat boosts. But I feel like there's more strategically, and especially trying to navigate the UI for the kinsects at the forge. Like I don't know what the hell is going on. I guess I'll just stick with this little guy because it's fun to send out a giant scarab and have him give me stat boosts.
basically every weapon that isn't the dual blades, the longsword, or the sword and shield is going to have all kinds of crazy unique aspects to it that the other weapons do not have, that you will want to investigate before diving in.
Lele keeps sending me tutorial YouTube videos, and I keep meaning to get around to it. I
Yeah.
haven't watched it yet.
It's really important, I think, to really like understand and master a weapon. You're not going to figure it out in a couple hours. There's a lot of, even the simpler ones, like there's a lot of layers of understanding that go into those, like landing the combos in a certain order in like a certain number of times unlocks like different tiers of damage that you get, or you get buffs. And so like something, for example, the insect glaive I've never used because it was like too intimidating for me. I'm really rusty, and like it's hard for me to learn a new one. I have like played so many thousands of hours with like one or two weapons that is just like I can't even.
What's your go-to?
I just always play with greatsword now, pretty much.
Really? Okay.
I used to be more well-rounded, but the ones that I can switch between easily are the simpler ones that I've spent the most time with. So like greatsword, longsword, hammer. That's just what I understand, but it's easier for me. I have trouble switching between things.
Does like the muscle memory from the 3DS games carry over pretty well into Worlds
It's
for all
pretty
these
much
weapons?
the same that it's always been. They've added like the charged slash for greatsword is expanded now, and there's I think 2 different ones, but you can you string them together, you get like different ends of the combo that you normally would.
Okay.
And like with greatsword, it's like less essential, I think, to like properly using it. Like if you can get any charged slashes to land, that's good. Like if you can
Good
get
job.
most of them to land, that's really good. If you're able to continuously get the like all 3 to land, like it's gonna die really quickly, whatever you're fighting. But things like with insect glaive and the longsword, if you're not doing those combos and you're not unlocking the tiers, you might as well switch weapons because you're like not doing the damage you're supposed to be doing.
Okay.
With the longsword, you have to hit the last hit of your thing in the combo multiple times. You fill your like spirit meter, and then you use that, and it's like a timed thing that you get so many hits right as it runs out. And then you have to land the last one of that to like unlock the next stage where you do it again. And you have to do it like 3 times. And then you get like a super awesome amount of damage.
What the hell's everyone else doing? Dan, this feels like playing StarCraft and like hearing a Zerg describe how they're playing. It's like, what game are you playing?
Yeah.
Spirit meter?
Yeah, it's up on the top left.
Do I have that with Insect Glaive?
No.
The insect glaive,
Okay.
what you're supposed to do, I haven't played with it. I probably am saying this a little wrong. You need to send your Kinsect out to 3 different locations on the monster. When you get all 3 colors, and then you can use those buffs, and you want to use them so that you have like all of them at the same time. So when they run out, you have to redo it, but it's easy.
It's
Once
like a
you
Chrono
learn-
Cross summon, Joe.
Like once you learn
Right.
what you're doing, right? And then again, like how you were saying, you like jump around in the air
Yeah.
endlessly. You have to hit that last one. And again, I think it like levels up the damage you're doing. But also, if you make like energy drinks or dash juice or whatever they call it
Dash
now,
juice.
then you like don't have a stamina that depletes anymore. So you can just like stay in the air forever. And just like
Why doesn't the game communicate this concept of like tiers of damage?
Have you tried the training area? It does sort of walk you through the process.
I've gone to the training area with a couple weapons, and it just gives me a flash on the screen that's like, hey, try these button combinations. And I do. But like, I don't know anything about which one of those is going to be the best one or not.
Yeah, each weapon has like your normal like bread and butter combo that you're going to do all the time, but then also like that goal combo that you want to like land in order to like improve the damage.
But to Joe's point, I mean, we haven't really addressed it. Hey, I understand this is the most approachable Monster Hunter. There's still so much that's so confusing. Every
is,
time I
yeah.
play a game, I just learn so much more. It's like, what the hell is this whole system? What's going on?
Sure.
And I feel like the game does a good job overall of like having a path for new players to follow that isn't that bad, but it keeps you on this skinny plank, right? And then if you look off in either direction, you just see the sea of menus and systems. Like, I don't know what that is. I guess I'll ignore it.
That's a really good point. That's exactly how it feels. Is that like just look at your feet and walk that narrow plank, because suddenly if you accidentally click on manage kinsects, you're gonna get a tutorial screen that has you going like, what am I missing?
I don't know if this is completely irrelevant or if I'm an idiot for not learning this. I have no idea.
Yeah.
And I think honestly that you can take the approach either way, and I think it's okay. Like if you wanted to play through that game only hitting the triangle button with one of the early easy accessible weapons and never know any of the mechanics behind them, you could do that, and you could do all the encounters multiplayer, and you would not even care about kinsects or what they are, or decorations or skills or any of that stuff. It's completely doable.
Decorations.
But like, and as soon as you want to engage with those other things, you can.
What
It's
are
not gonna,
decorations?
we'll get to, those are going to be high rank stuff, but
Okay.
they're like
Oh.
gems in Diablo, sort of.
Oh boy. Okay. Pat O'Connor from Ireland here says, "Hey, first time Monster Hunter player here. I found myself getting a fighting game vibe from the emphasis on combo mastery and positioning. I love that after 10 hours of play, I could spend some time in training mode. I learned a new weapon, and I feel like it's an entirely different game. It's wonderful that the game encourages experimentation in that regard and facilitates it via a useful training area, something other games with deliberate combat systems don't have. Also, he loves the cats. Yeah, and then someone else, let's see, this is Kyle Marshall, regrets making it, but he makes the Dark Souls comparison, Dan. What do you think of that? Is it just completely out of left field? Is it appropriate for like animation-based fighting?
I dislike the comparison because at the end of the day, they are very different games. However, and if you just want to communicate something that you mean like you have, concise combat that has weight to it, and you fight big bosses, yes, both games have those. They both have deliberate combat systems, and they are about slaying big bosses.
Also, Metal Gear 1, if you're
But
interested in fighting big bosses.
after that comparison, we're pretty much very different worlds. But if you just want to communicate the combat style in some fashion to someone who has no idea, you can use that as a reference point. I still would not. There's better ways to do it without using that word. You can talk about this game without talking about Dark Souls.
Don't say
It
the
is
D
possible.
word. Barbara Wallachek, who I think is written into every game club, she's amazing with Game Club, says, I'd never played a Monster Hunter game before. My only prior experience with the series was briefly playing the demo for Monster Hunter 3 on my 3DS, and I didn't like it. Number one point, this game controls like ass. I guess this is one of those, it's a feature, not a bug things, but it's frustrating when my character is constantly swinging at nothing, even when it feels like she should be connecting. Rebuttal to the ass comment from Barbara. Does this game control like ass?
Watch where you are.
So you don't think it controls like ass?
No.
I think it controls exactly as again we are not familiar with it as gamers today with these kind of styles. Like you will make the move exactly every time in the position you're doing it when you hit that button. And again, it's not like another game where you have an immediate response. Like I hit the button, my bullet flies, it's instantly done.
Yeah.
It's like there's an animation involved with every attack and style, and like you have to take that into consideration when you make your moves.
Dumb question.
I don't think working as intended means working as intended is good, though, right?
I suppose not everyone will be a fan of the weighted combat.
I have a
Certainly.
very, very simple, stupid question. Should I just be mashing my attack button as much as I am? Are you
No.
ever just kind of spamming it, or is everything supposed to be very deliberate?
It's generally very deliberate.
You want to watch what the monster does and match your actions accordingly. You can, again, like I said, I think it's super cool that you can button spam with certain weapons in this game
yeah.
and still be a semi-efficient player in a multiplayer environment. But if you're really like trying to do Monster Hunter, you want to watch the monster's movements and make your move onto the weak point when you get the chance to.
It's definitely a game that will let you get away with a fair amount early on, but then you'll hit a wall where it's like, oh, this monster is not putting up with your bullshit. Like if you're used to spamming just your normal shots, like with the light bow gun, for instance, and being pretty sloppy about dodging and taking some hits that you probably shouldn't have, you will hit a wall where it's like, this is like a skill check.
Where's that wall?
That wall, I think that Anjanath is pretty
Yeah.
early on there.
Huge wall for me, yeah.
Yeah, where you have to improve as a player if you're playing solo in particular, or else it will get very frustrating for you. And it's not, I don't think, the game's fault. It's just, I think it lets you, like I said, it lets you get away with a lot early on. You can develop some bad habits that you will regret if you're not playing well and pushing yourself to play efficiently.
And I got a couple points to that. If you don't want to play better or more efficiently, that's when multiplayer will take care of that problem for you.
Yeah.
And you can enjoy the entire game. It's super fun. The game is way better multiplayer, period. And another thing, if you do have playstyles that are bad, you can enforce those you can enforce those later on with decorations. Like I know I love taking damage, right? I don't like to dodge a whole lot.
What?
And so I put skill gems in that make me take tons of reduced damage when I get hit. Because I know I'm going to get hit.
You
So-
just don't like moving?
No, it's just like when I get in there, I go in. All right.
Okay, buddy.
You know,
Free out.
when I make my move, I tend to overstay my welcome.
Oh my
It's
god.
applicable in so many situations.
So
Wow.
a question I had for everyone. But I'm curious what the veterans have to weigh in on it too. Is like, do you still think it's a good idea to not have any sort of like health bar or indication on how you're doing on those monsters?
Isn't there now? I thought
We
there
have
was
damage numbers
damage
now.
numbers.
The
Which is
damage
new.
numbers, which it is mind-boggling.
Wait, those weren't there before?
Those weren't
No.
there,
That
so
sounds
you didn't
crazy.
know
You
if you
just
were
had to
ever
tell.
hitting them.
In fact, there's other visual indicators in this game they didn't have before, like the little skull on him when he's limping away. Like that tells you it's time to trap this guy when he goes to sleep. He's in the capture mode. He's in capture mode.
For
He's
how
gonna die.
often I'm swinging and missing, I can't imagine not having a number to tell me when I'm doing well, when I'm not.
Or even if you're attacking a weak spot, that is doing more damage.
Yes.
That is something I kind of overlooked with the first couple monsters because they're easy enough. But then I realized, like, if that number is not orange, then I am wasting my time.
Right.
In
It
terms
is-
of how much damage I'm doing to it.
It is an interesting line in the sand, Joe, of having the health bar. And I think we talked to the developers when we were out there in Japan about it, about like they wanted to be approachable. They wanted to put numbers in there, which some fans might not like. I think you can turn those off in the menus. But they see like putting that HP bar, that's like crossing the line because they still want players to be looking at the monster and paying attention to the actual creature, not UI.
And I guess in my mind, it's not so much that I want like an overall health bar as I want the indicators that you guys are talking about. Like I want a good sense of if I am hitting the monster in a bad spot. I want to know if I'm doing the amount of damage that I should be doing. If my weapon is like, like in a lot of games, if you try and hit a monster that's like over leveled and you see the health bar only go down a little, then you're like, oh, I need to like go back and like upgrade my gear, but without necessarily you have to get the crap kicked out of you a couple times before you're like, is my gear not like where it should be?
What am I doing? Are you
I
looking
have
at the
a
little...
few-
What's that?
I said I have a few answers, I think.
Yeah.
So, firstly, as far as the like weak spots go, like they added this, which they didn't have before. Like in the book, tells you what the weak spots of every monster are. You used to just have to like pay attention and then remember. So,
Have you
like-
seen that, Joe? Like the weird diagram where it's like a Mayan ruin or something?
No.
Okay, and it shows you like the fillet of meats that you want to aim for in the monster.
What?
It's there's a guy next to a big stack of books in the town.
researcher guy.
Yeah, but
I've talked to the research people.
he'll tell you, and it's also somewhere buried in the menu from hell, just like your start
Yeah,
menu.
it's
It's
in
in
your
there.
menu.
Joe, it's
if
not
you pull
the-
up your map,
It's not the bounty guys, okay? It's behind them. I know you. There's two different research
Oh,
things.
Jesus. All right.
Sorry to look
Okay.
at.
And then as far as like visual cues of to like the damage that you're doing if you're making progress, like those are there. You just have to like look. That I think what a lot of people don't understand is that this game is very unique in that it's a lot about like ecology more than it's just like bullet sink bosses.
Mm-hmm.
Like the whole point is that you're paying attention to the cues and seeing like what's breaking up. Like maybe this sounds like too like convoluted or like elitist or something, but like that is what the game is for, is
Interesting.
learning those patterns, learning, hey, I can break off this claw, spending the time to break off all the different spots, cut off the things you can cut off. Like they have like frills, the frill will get droopy, so you know that they're almost dead. Like they all have so many pieces that you can break off and so many visual cues, and they like start drooling and limping.
Yeah,
and like
yeah.
if you can't tell that it's gonna die,
Winking
like,
at you.
I've seen some of those, but like I guess for me, and this makes it sound like I'm really like having a bad time or complaining a lot, and like that really these are just things that I'm like trying to figure out.
Yeah.
yeah,
Because
it's-
like I see when they like I assume when they're drooping, it's like, oh, I've been doing some decent damage, but like I don't know what I've been doing that's necessarily been doing that damage.
The
you
numbers
know?
that are higher.
Yeah, well, yeah, there's that.
but
Or-
I understand, and it is like, well, okay, I hit it once, and it does, an 8 pops up, and then I hit it, in a different spot, and a 20 pops up, and obviously that's better, but I don't know how much 20 is in the overall,
Right.
like, is it 1,000 that I'm trying to get to?
It's always terrifying when you've been wailing on this game. So much of the game, I feel like, and I'm playing it like an idiot, I'm sure, but it's like, keep whacking this thing. All right, here I go. But after I've been whacking at this thing for like 20 minutes, then suddenly you see like a Anjanath or Rathalos fly in and do like 600 damage, and the monster's still alive. Like, what? I have that much more to go? Good God.
I mean, there's a reason why the quests are 50 minutes long.
Yeah.
It's like if you can even accomplish it, like especially for the harder ones, especially for like the G rank stuff in the old games, or like high rank. I'm sure in this, I haven't gotten that far, of course. I'm like, it's supposed to take a long time. It's supposed to be one big fight, like each monster is supposed to be like an boss,
like a 45-minute
yeah,
fight.
like I mean, the little ones at the beginning of the game, you know, when you have no gear, will take that long. Once you have really good gear, you can kill it in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
You know, they have probably thousands of HP. It's just that's
You gotta get used to
what
it.
it is.
That's the game.
I mean, it is the game. Like,
Yeah.
if you are super overpowered, you'll kill them quickly. If you really master your weapon, you'll kill them quickly. But if you just don't know what you're doing and aren't learning, and it's not that you're doing it wrong, there's just a lot to learn.
So much.
You know,
Yeah, and I
but
think
changing those things would kind of break what the game is. I think I do agree with what Capcom is saying in that regard.
I feel like I'm just looking for a little more feedback, a little more. I don't know. Anyway,
And one thing that I have noticed, I have gotten better at kind of seeing the cues as it goes, and like, okay, he's limping now as he runs away or whatever, so I'm getting closer. But there have been several times where I'll hit him and he'll die, and that is a big surprise to me. It was like, oh, okay, now it's over. I didn't realize I was that close to it.
Yeah.
If you are doing damage in if it's a consistent damage output, you'll eventually drive the monsters through all of its stages, including going back to the nest and rest. Only if you really change your damage output in a big way will you just randomly kill them. But I guess it does happen. But you probably had some crazy burst damage. And along those lines, if you're having trouble doing damage, especially in the early game, consumables are very, very important. Do not overlook consumables. Bombs, all that kind of stuff can do absurd damage to these creatures.
I'm very confused, but good segue, Dan. So Dustin Smith from Columbus, Ohio writes in and says, are you using mini traps or tools? I feel like they might help out during hunts, but that is one of the systems in the game that I haven't really figured out. Yeah, I don't know what all that crap is.
They're super duper important.
Yeah.
Bring several along. Bring along the crafting materials to craft more of them while you are walking around on a hunt.
What are they
What are the good
specifically?
ones?
Pitfall traps, shock traps, barrel bombs, both large and small. There's poisoned meats, which I've never used. There's a lot of stuff like that.
Dan, you're a very big play your way kind of guy, but it's fair to say we're doing it wrong by not focusing on these items?
You can do whatever you want. I keep telling you that, and it'll work, and you can still have fun. I'm saying,
okay, I turned off my PS4.
if you're having trouble,
I want to hear from Optimizer Dan, and not not like everyone's welcome Dan.
Yeah,
okay.
Shift into optimizing.
So Optimizer
mode.
Dan will bring, as they said, bring
Optimize Prime.
bring the maximum amount of everything and the stuff to craft more in the field. This one's cool because you can actually restore your stuff from home, when you're out in the field from your campsite.
You used to not be able to do that.
So
It's
you've
really,
got
really
access to
handy.
everything you could possibly need. You can make all those kinds of crazy bombs. I've been with multiplayer groups now. Pin the monster down. Everybody sets up bombs. We're talking 6 bombs around the guy.
Bomberman.
And then you just you pull the trigger on that thing. That's 2,000 damage just on that. Before the monster even wakes up, and then you start really beating on it, right? And everybody's got shock traps. You always want to go for the capture at the end. Everyone just gathers around, wait till it's asleep, put the shock trap down, and everyone just starts throwing those tranq bombs, and boom, there's the cap. Really easy.
Do they explain traps and bombs at some point, in the tutorial?
There's a capture quest.
Guess I must. Okay.
They
Once you
will.
do
I
a
think
capture
that's my
quest, it
next
starts
quest,
to
so-
sink in that you should be doing that
Yeah.
stuff.
I don't know what it is, but Jeremy Bull writes in from East Lansing here. He says, first off, I'd like to say thank you for bringing back Game Club. And secondly, I'd like to thank you for choosing what could very possibly be my game of the year for 2018. I just wanted to say that capturing is way more satisfying than killing. Oh, should I be focusing on this? What is capturing?
You get more for capturing in most cases. You get more knowledge. I'm not sure exactly what the ratio is, but you get more materials for capturing.
And it's easier because all you have to do is find the sweet spot between when you've done enough damage to capture it, and then so when they go back to the nest and heal, then they get super duper aggressive. It's their last, hurrah trying to stay alive. So you don't have to do that fight if you capture
that last
it.
20%, you don't need to pretty much cut them up.
Wait,
at all.
it's just Pokemon.
So is there ever an incentive to kill instead of capture?
Certain objects come from carves and pieces only, and again they'll be on that Mayan diagram that
Okay.
we'll have to show you. But so if you're looking for that really specific carve piece or something, you might choose the kill instead.
But you guys just default capture everything.
Capture
Try.
capture
I
is
mean,
the default.
Once you get really overpowered, you'll like accidentally kill the monsters more often than you will be struggling to kill a monster.
Okay, this is very Pokemon. And so I should do I'm very stupid. Is it the net? Is it the
They've
little
made
net?
it really easy. To do the cap, all you need is a shock trap and
Or a
trank
pitfall
bombs.
trap. Or you might even be able. Can you use the environmental traps now? I haven't.
I have not
yet.
tried to cap with environments.
Well, okay. So I've had it. I've played with friends that have like laid down traps, and then it's like like getting
That's
fried.
a shock trap.
Okay, what's step 2 for capturing it?
To throw tranquilizer bombs at it.
Throw
At
tranquilizers.
its head specifically.
And then once it falls asleep, it'll just say capture.
It's instant. Like it should happen within seconds of the trap going down.
Yeah, you have to hit it 3 times. I think historically, 3 trank bombs.
Okay, so trank bombs to capture. Jeff, can we zoom out a little bit? How are you feeling about this game?
I'm enjoying it, and I definitely there's still a lot that I don't understand. But at this point, I want to, and I want to learn more, and I want to play more. I think I have a good understanding of the core loop and the progression that comes after, doing the hunts and stuff, and all of that is super interesting to me, and I want to try all of the different weapons and stuff. So.
It brings back an earlier point actually, the Dark Souls comparison.
Yeah.
I would say one thing that is alike in both games is that they both have a point where they click for the player or the user, that it's like, I really like this now. Now I'm getting it. Like there's always that point where it can be it can be a tough road to go on.
Mm-hmm.
But once you hit that point, you're in, right? You're in.
And I'm kind of confused about what it is about the game, even after 16 hours or so, like what it is that is clicking. Because I like it as well, but there are times, especially going up against that Anjanath, where I'd spend an entire evening and not get anything done. And it's like, if I'm in it for just seeing numbers go up, I could have reached level 3,000 in Diablo 3 by now. Like what is it that's satisfying about these long form fights where numbers barely go up after you've grinded them night after night after night?
This
I'd
is
say
how
that- Go ahead.
This is how I usually explain that, is that you don't level up and make better armor and then you're like stronger or better. It's
What a
like a
hoot.
get good situation. Like you don't actually level up, you just learn what that monster does and how to dodge it and when to dodge it. So like that's I think where it's satisfying is once you're like, oh, if I dodge now and then hit it here, and then it becomes super easy. Like the first time I think that you like go out and like don't get hit a single time by that monster and kill it quickly, that I think is for people when they're like, oh, and to do that, I think that this game I have a few complaints about this game, even though it's super great. Like you need to do the same fight multiple times. The way that this game is setting up the low rank stuff is sort of like, hey, kill this monster. Oh, this other monster showed up while you were killing that monster. Go kill that monster. Oh, another monster showed up. And if you only do those sequentially, it's going to be really hard and you're not going to really figure out the game. Like,
So do the optional quest. Is you're
yeah,
suggesting.
you're going to want to do those. And like, especially, I think going after like making one armor set of low rank, whatever you pick,
Focus on that early.
just do one. And then you'll sort of, as you're doing that, both you'll have an armor where you like won't die instantly once you get to Anjanath if he hits you, and also you usually have to do probably kill it like 5 times to make a full set.
Now, see, that is
something like that.
something I think that they've actually done a great job changing in this one with the investigation system, which is just like the same. You're killing the monster, but the quest has different elements and modifiers, but you get more stuff at the end of it. So when I want a set of X type, I'm like, well, I need to kill this stupid monster. I'll take an investigation, and then I'll get all those rare materials and all that junk I need from their quest rewards. So I only need to kill it 3 times, maybe 4 times.
Yeah,
It depends.
I think I had enough stuff to make the full set of like great Jagras stuff or whatever after like 1 or after 3 like ventures into that.
Well, I
Do
worry
you feel
about
like you learned how to fight Great Jagras? That's
well,
my point.
That,
like
that one, not particularly, just because like I feel like that monster doesn't have a whole lot of wrinkles
yeah,
to
it's
it.
pretty
I mean,
easy.
I felt like I knew how to fight Great Jagras the first time I fought.
he
Great
swallows
Jagras.
crap and then
I'd say
runs
that's
away.
fair.
Yeah.
You could be, yeah.
But like I love hearing fans describe the appeal of this. Like Lele, I think you had a great description of it because like I want to get there. I want to play that game, the one that is like very observation based, very deliberate, and and
But after 10 hours, you don't think you feel it yet with this one?
and some of this, like this is a lot of this is on me. Like this, I am trying not to like foist a lot of this on the game. I think the game's biggest problems are just in like communication and interface.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I think one of the trickiest things is also one of the game's strengths is that you could play for 10 hours, and if you have picked randomly one of the 14 weapons because you thought it looked cool based on either experimenting with it in the training area or watching the video, if you've picked a weapon that is just not clicking with you and you think that you have to keep going with that, you're making a mistake. Like, I would recommend switching it up often in that early stages because every weapon is so different from the others. Like, I messed around with that with the hammer, and like it's super fun in a different way. It feels like a vastly different experience. So I think for some players that are just like, I'm just not feeling this dual swords, change to a different weapon, because I think that's the easiest way to see a completely different experience.
Can you guys help me, Lily? You talk about like grinding it out and getting an armor set early on. I don't want to do that because I don't like listening to your advice. No, I don't want to do that because it's like I fought Pookie plenty, but I just feel like he's a turd monster. I don't want armor from a turd monster. You know what I mean? I'd rather have the scatter shot with some things with higher stats, but is it not as bad as I think to just go for that lower monster armor and then upgrade the bejesus out of it?
You're going to want to make like multiple armor sets as you're playing through the game, but you need to make one armor set. You won't be able to get to high rank, I don't think, without making one full armor set,
like a complete
just
unified thing.
Just a head, a chest, an arms.
I have
like whatever
a scatter shot of crap that I'm
that's
wearing.
fine. I mean, you're missing out on perks, but like
it
it's
seems
some
like
defense.
the Bareth stuff seems like it's got a pretty like, I don't know. I got that recently. That seems like it's a good like base level defense stuff.
Okay,
I don't know.
So early on, you really don't have to worry about that. Like, you can mix and match all you want. Just make sure you keep everything upgraded with your armor orbs. And watch the colors. Like, basically, the higher tier, like defaulting, the higher tier the armor is, the better. So just keep looking for it from white to green to whatever the next, like, a Diablo color coded system of rarity. And then just upgrade the crap out of them with your armor orbs that you're getting from doing quests and bounties. You don't have to really worry about set bonuses until about the end of low tier. Okay. And that's going to become a factor then. And that's going to be a big factor going forward for the rest of the game. Where if you have 3 to 5 pieces of a set, you'll get those bonuses, and you want to trigger those.
So what? Like, I mentioned the Bareth stuff, but like what is the good armor early on? Like what should Hansen's first complete set be?
Whatever doesn't really.
What game is set?
Literally, as long as you're upgrading it, as long as you're keeping it fully upgraded.
Jeff Cork, what set?
Bone set is a super easy one to get, and I had good luck with it. It's got nice fire resistance. It's good against dragons.
Where's the bone stuff?
Forage for the bone piles. Yeah. You can get it very early on too, and I used it all throughout the low quest, and did not feel like, oh boy, I'm not ready for stuff.
That's helpful. Okay.
Also, something I did, you wade through the menus, you can find a way to hide your head armor.
Oh, interesting.
Because my biggest complaint, like, I actually like the loop of the like kill monster, get stuff, craft armor. I'm enjoying that, but all of the armor makes me look like a clown. I hate the Jagras armor,
like bananas everywhere.
Yeah, no, you just look ridiculous. And maybe like later monsters give cooler ones.
You don't get to look badass until they have that whole like thing going on.
But like some cool stuff, like the Anjanath, I think looks cool.
That is the main thing preventing me from like really going all in on a set of armor right now. Is it's just like they all look so dumb. So I put the one on that I seemed like the best stats and hit it, so I don't have to look at my dumb head.
I've always been pretty conservative about making armor sets. I usually like I feel like I'm good enough at the game that it's less critical for me. Okay. So I usually make the ones that it's like, okay, this is good enough to at least keep me from being one hit to get me to high rank. And then when I'm in high rank, there's like, maybe I'll make like 3 armor sets. Like, I'm not even joking. Like, I just do the 3 that I want. The one that I've always made in the past, I don't know if it exists anymore, so I don't really talk about it. But if you use any healing item, it heals your whole party as long as they're in the same zone. Oh. And because I'm a very cautious player and I heal a lot and I kind of hang back, that's the one that I've always done because it makes me more helpful support when I do multiplayer, which is really all I do. I just help my friends. So
and,
that makes sense.
And complain about how scared you are in the headset from my experience with playing with you.
Well, that That was I'm embarrassed.
This Toby Kadachi. Whoa.
But like, I know that Dantec has been griping a lot about Kushala Daora, who is a tricky fight.
Well, I mean,
in the older
I had
games.
about 1,000 YouTube comments telling me how to beat him after I
Yeah.
complained about it. So I know how to beat him now. Don't worry about it.
How do you beat him?
You got to poison him to get rid of his windshield.
Yeah, and he break
Step
his
one, be a
horns.
YouTuber.
Or you could just craft the armor set that gives you wind resist so that it doesn't affect you at all.
That's okay. We're way beyond that dragon now. Okay, so you know.
But just like that's what I use the armor sets for, is more like for like getting those specific perks that I know that I want to avoid the annoying things that I don't like.
Yeah.
So that when I'm helping my friends, I don't have to help them kill 15 Kushala Daoras struggling the whole time, you know.
I don't even want to say that name 3 times. But talking about playing with friends, there were a lot of emails. Drew Sherman.
boy.
Shut up. Drew Sherman, Caleb from Ohio, Chris from Los Angeles, Matt McKenna. A lot of people are just, here we go. Chris from Los Angeles just says, hey, could you guys explain plainly and clearly how to play with your friends in Monster Hunter? Getting started with friends last night was more trouble than it should have been. We scoured the internet with no real instructions. It sucks.
It's super confusing.
What the
I
hell is
agree.
going on? How could they blow this core component? Like, just trying to figure out, okay, I'm in a squad, but I'm in a different online session. And even if you manage to figure out that tangled web, then you can run into the problem that Caleb from Ohio ran into, which is, why on earth do I have to watch a cutscene first before my squad can join up and tackle this monster?
That is an issue for going through the story. Absolutely, it will. I will say that it does get much better, and it has no effect on investigations or optional quests or stuff like that. So, but yeah, for the story stuff, that cutscene decision is random and weird. But
It's super frustrating. Like if you haven't run into it, it's like if your friend, you want to help your friend out, and you're doing a mission that you've already completed, it won't let you join their session until that cutscene is completed, and you don't get any indication of when that's going to happen. So you're basically just hitting, join.
What?
Hold on, join.
Have you not played
hold
co-op
on.
yet, Joe?
No.
Oh, yeah, it's a nightmare.
I've been solo the whole time so far.
No, that's your first mistake, Joe.
Well, yeah, that's what you tell me. But who else is playing Monster Hunter at 6 a.m.?
I am.
I mean, brew me some coffee.
So where's our Game Informer guild or whatever?
This is one
Nobody
important
knows how to
thing.
say I don't know what
that is.
See? Okay.
I'm like no expert at all. This is all that I think I've figured out. Okay. So how the online session works is that it like populates you into an online session automatically so that when you're out on quest, you can send an SOS flare. And I think those are the people that can
And how
join.
big is that pool of...
It's only
It's
16,
like 16, right?
So
Within an
hang
online
on.
session. Okay.
So the SOS flare is not game specific unless you set it to be. The SOS flare is like anyone.
Oh, it is.
Oh,
like
it's not
anybody
online
playing.
session based.
That's all I do is I just go into SOS games all day. It has nothing to do with the session you're in. Each session holds up to 16 players that can have 4 players in any given quest.
So if I want to team up with my coworkers,
Mhm.
first we need to get in the same online session.
The easy way to do
No,
that.
no, you don't have to.
Okay.
Actually, that's
Okay.
true.
Well,
don't. But it would be easiest to
That's
do it
the
that
easy
way.
way to do it.
How should you do it?
We should make a squad called GI or whatever.
I have a game club squad. I
It's
don't know
just
what to
like
do
you
with
didn't
it.
invite
Okay, it's
anyone,
literally Lillian.
I have an important
And
thing that
then
I learned.
when you load in, you just say go to the squad game, and you're in the squad.
When you're in a squad, you can set which one is your active squad. And if you have one set as your active squad, like in the outer PS menu, you know, where you can just like look at your friends list and then be like join session,
Sure.
it only shows you the people that are in your squad, which I found was really confusing. So unless I have some weird menu thing going on in my...
In general, a game where
It's weird.
everybody
That was
stresses
weird.
co-op is key, they blew it, right? This effing sucks.
I mean, I think about the cutscene thing. The rest of it, I don't have a problem with. It's
Really?
Once
easy.
you like figure it out once and you're like, oh, okay, now I get it. But it was harder for me to figure out than I think it should have been. I don't really understand
Dan,
why.
can you help me out even with like...
Sure.
I like playing solo, but I'm very bad at it, and so I
Okay.
constantly fire off the SOS flare. Like the second I'm in
Okay.
that expedition camp, it's just firing left and right into the air.
So I
But-
believe
but-
you can change your settings. You make sure that it's on like a global. SOS
It is,
flare.
but
Okay.
here's the frustrating part: where there's a timer for the quest that's ticking down.
10 minutes.
Wait, I'm just talking about like the overall quest. I was
5
say
minutes.
like 50 minutes for taking down Anjanath or whatever, and I'll run around in circles for 10 minutes.
Okay.
It's like no one's coming to my SOS flare. I don't know how much longer I can dick around.
That's the weird. The weird part is it should be almost instant. Like I
Really?
don't understand what. I guess again, I'm not completely up on this, but like when I get into an SOS game, it's within the first 2 minutes and it's a full group. So
There's
I
times where it is, but there's so many times too where I fire it up and then just no one comes, and it's that frustrating thing of like, all right, I guess I'll go solo because I don't want to waste this time because I know this fight's going to take forever. It's just frustrating to.
Everyone looks and they say, "Oh, it's Hanson again. Forget it."
Do they say
Cancel
that?
that,
Did you hear
yeah.
them say that?
We've all been saying
Well, I think
it.
if you're in the Gathering hub, you can set it so that it's just like matchmaking for you. Can't you?
For a
Just, like,
full
send
squad?
you out
Oh,
with a
interesting.
squad?
So I can go and I don't have to dick around waiting for the SOS recipients?
Wait,
no.
No, did I lie?
what's the Gathering Hub?
Oh, Joe.
You gotta
There's-
ride the like elevator
That
up
is-
to the Gathering.
That is to
hub.
enjoy the same. That's like it's you don't ever have to engage with it to engage with any of the multiplayer. It's
Okay.
just
Really?
Because
So
I've
if you-
been there once and
if
was
you-
like, I don't know what this is. Something about arenas. I'm going back down.
all 16 people in the game can go up there, and it has all the same facilities as downstairs. It's the multiplayer hub for a game.
So even if you're playing co-op, you won't run around the town with other people.
Right.
You don't see them unless you're on a quest or in the Gathering hub where you can like arm wrestle with them and stuff.
Oh, that's good. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, which is helpful, I guess.
In that case, I may actually, because like I always just start games where it's like private session, just me, no one else.
Right.
Who cares?
Who cares?
But okay.
Let's see. Willie Plum also writes in and says, which low-tier monster is everyone's favorite? Mine is definitely Toby Kadachi, the electric lizard flying squirrel thinger. I think he's my favorite so far, too. Anjanath, I just want to stab in the eyeball. But Toby Kadachi, I think, is objectively cool and
Yeah.
not that much of a pain in the ass to fight.
He's new and cool, and I was scared.
Very frightened.
He looks
yeah.
like that jerk that Steve Buscemi voices in Monsters Inc.
Uh,
That's what he reminds me of.
What? Randall?
Yeah, it reminds me of Randall.
Flying squirrel with electricity
I don't
flying
know
out
why.
of it.
He just has a Randall vibe.
Well, I guess he is voiced by Steve Buscemi. I guess
That's
that
true.
makes sense. Do you guys have favorites so far for the low rank?
Pookie. He's got
Pookie
that
Pookie
farty
reminds
tail.
me of
It's so gross.
the very mixed up chameleon. Maybe as a fellow parent, you'll appreciate that one. So that's the
Pookie
one that
Pookie
I've done
man.
the most.
Yeah, plus his tail, again, fills up with purple farts and he farts it at you.
I like the
Doesn't-
design,
Super cute.
but
yeah.
any poisoning creature in any game
Oh,
is
yeah.
just automatically a crap bird in my mind.
That was my first death
Oh,
in
really?
that game.
Oh, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. He poisoned me and then hit me. I felt real gypped actually. But whatever.
Jeff, anything that stands out for you so far?
I think Kobo Tadachi, whatever, flying electric squirrel guy.
He is,
He's pretty
I
cool,
think,
yeah.
the coolest, and it's a new one. So, like, I think that's. I only fought him the one time with you, and I don't think either of us knew what we were doing. So, so it's a little scary and frustrating. But I'm excited to now that I like have armor, like go fight him some more and figure him
He's
out.
cool too
yeah.
when you fight him and then you have to run away because you have to heal or whatever, and then you're looking around. It's like, where is he? And all of a sudden he's flying in from behind you somewhere.
The first time I saw him do that, I was like, "What?"
Yeah, I really love fighting Paolumu too in the Coral Highlands, just because he's flying so much, and with the insect glaive already spending so much time in the air, spending that time in the air while he's in the air and like trying to ride him, it's like
That sounds fun.
just for another Pixar reference. It feels like when they're riding the manta ray and like Finding Dory, just like riding this flying thing as I'm flying
He
on
has-
top of it is so cool.
He has one of the best intro
Yeah.
videos too, where he just seems like this super chill bat, and then you're like, "I'm gonna get you," and he's like, "Rah."
Yeah,
I'm really excited. I've been
You
so
God, it's like I'm
looking
there.
forward to that one, and I haven't gotten to it yet.
okay.
But he's like so cute.
The Coral Highlands are awesome.
I want to
They
like
are.
have that monster like as my real life pet.
You can do it if you want it hard enough.
Hey, speaking of pets, I have a question about this game. As someone who generally prefers to play solo, is it possible to have like a party of palicos helping you out, or is it basically just like you and your buddy?
I think in
Yeah,
this one's just one.
You should check out the tips for soloing on GameInformer.com because it describes how to do this. But yes, so in each mission you can have up to 4 you and 3 other characters.
Mm-hmm.
So you take your palico, right?
Yeah.
You've got to do the expedition quest in that area to unlock that palico tribe. All right. So once you've done that, you can recruit another palico when you're out in the field. You can't have it like at your home base.
Oh, okay.
So that's to be
temporary
wild.
Because
palico.
like so that's
And
happened to
then-
me a couple of times, and then there's like the
then-
monsters that you can get.
that have
Yeah.
completed that quest chain will also let you get a monster. So that's a pretty decent deep squad for a solo player.
Okay, because like what bothers me about it is like I kind of wish that there were a way to like I wish you could have like palicos that are just sort of party member stand-ins, right? That I wouldn't have to go and like go out in the field and like dig up one of those tail riders or whatever.
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
call them. Like if I
Just a
could
full group.
just say like, hey, I want to bring my trap palico along on this one.
It would be a nice quality of life improvement because at a certain point you're like, all I'm doing is looking for an icon on the map, teleporting
Yeah.
to that camp, walking up to it. There's no friction there aside from wasting 2 minutes of walking. So it's not difficult to do that. It would just be nice if you could be like at your camp, hey, come with me.
Yeah, exactly. Or even have like a squad that like they don't even need to be at your camp. Just have them be like in your room or whatever. You can be like, okay, here's my buddies, and I'm taking you two and my normal guy. And
Joe, I think what you're looking for is just the SOS stuff. Like playing with just it basically is
those
just
are
a
other
party.
people. I don't
you don't
want
have to talk to them. That's
doesn't like
fine. You could pretend they're AI. That's basically what you're looking for.
AI
here.
that are sending you emojis like, you idiot.
Yeah,
Stop it.
And with
So,
crazy
yeah, you
Japanese
can,
names. Yeah.
So this is what I recommend. Like, you can complete all your quests with other people. Just go look for an SOS flare and just do quests with other people. Like,
but
it's
will that
instant.
register as a completed quest for me?
As long as the mission hasn't gone on for, it'll tell you. It'll be like, this mission has gone on too long. You won't get the quest rewards.
So I can skip
Otherwise, yes.
story quest? I can jump ahead?
I think it will only let you look at quests that you've done up to or the one that you're on.
Oh, really? I didn't know you could do the one that you're on. That's very helpful.
Yeah.
So, certainly. There's no way I could have done the last quest I was on solo. Not easily.
Okay.
And people aren't going to be mad if I'm not on like voice chat or whatever.
No, they don't care. I have not used voice chat at all.
Okay.
I mean, you guys are have like of a fairly singular mindset where it's like, there's the monster, let's go get him, and like you might run into a problem like if a person is determined to trap it, but at that point they should communicate using some of the like built-in text stuff, like let's set a trap.
Yeah.
Otherwise,
I
feel
think-
free to wail on it until it's dead.
And while you're in the menus looking for the "Let's set a trap" emote, the monster has been murdered.
Does it automatically say it now if you lay a trap?
I think it does.
It pings. It pings, I think, automatically. And it's everybody knows, like, when the thing is sleeping anyway, which is when you're going to set the trap, nobody just walks up to it and hits it. You wait for all 4 guys to get there.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't think everybody knows that, Dan Tech.
Not everyone at this table.
Yeah.
The first hit that you land when it's asleep does a lot more damage than normal, so you want to have everyone charge up and like simultaneously unleash or trap it.
Okay, gotcha. Just the UI for communicating, I think it's fun. You can like customize those sayings and stuff. Good opportunity for jokes there with your friends. But just that radial dial
It's
for
weird.
menus, that was a game changer when I realized that, like, not only do I not have to hold down L1 to switch between my potions and crap, I can just hit left and right on the D-pad. That's very helpful. But then also realizing that, okay, if I just set that radial dial, I can just, in theory, hold on L1 and quickly do it. But I still feel like it's inconsistent when it's triggering those potions. What am I doing wrong with the analog stick flick to not let those potions go? Is that how you guys are healing? Is just radial dial L1?
I can't use that for anything really. It's
Why?
not. It's just like not in my like. I haven't figured it out. My
Not
hands
in-
don't like.
It's
will
not
do
in
it.
your hands yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's like so like a muscle memory thing for me to scroll through the old way.
Okay.
And like I have been playing long enough to know what item I'm probably going to need, and I just have that there.
Gotcha. Dan, how are you healing?
Compared to 3DS, man, like, it feels like, they took the ball and chain from around my leg and the shackles off my hands. Like,
But you're still in a prison, so how do you do it?
No, I'm not, though.
I
It
see.
feels like I'm not. It's so much. It's just insanely better. And gosh, I hope the series continues to stay on the core console
So how are you healing?
by scrolling through.
Okay, you scroll through.
Just because of force of habit. Like, that's
okay,
just
so
the way that
flicking.
Yeah, I don't
might be
use
the-
a radial.
You
menu
don't?
either,
I use
no.
the
It's
radial
great
for
when
the
it
SOS
works.
thing and like the gestures, but not for the items.
You should check it out, Court, because
Yeah?
it's something about how you have to flick first and not let go of L1 until you flick, and then it works. When it works, it's super quick and amazing. It's just inconsistent with my flick. Anyways, we got Ronald from Nebraska, and he's wondering, he's like, hey, I've never played a Monster Hunter before, but I can say that my 30 hours spent with it have been golden. My biggest fail came with the Diablos, as I failed that quest 5 times before
Sure.
getting it. What monsters gave you a hard time? I currently have a beef set out on that Diablos.
Stuff like Diablos certainly was something to adapt to with heavy bowgun, because you certainly can't reload when he goes underground because you're going to get hit and killed.
Oh,
so
he goes underground. I haven't seen
Yeah,
this
he
yet.
tunnels.
Shoots up.
Oh,
where you're
Tremor
standing.
style. Okay.
yeah, he's a nasty customer.
He has the coolest intro video though, by far.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
What is
I
it?
don't want to. Well, are we talking? He's still a low level quest, right?
Is he? I didn't keep my.
All right, let's
I
save
haven't
it then.
seen him yet.
Okay, it's awesome.
All right, that's exciting. For me, it's Anjanath. I just think that dirty SOB. I hate his fire breathing. It just destroys me. Like basically one hit with that fire breath and I'm out. And he does like the weird puffs where there's like a little bit of fire leaking around the sides and I'm always terrified of it, but it's never the full blast. And also it's just a dick move because I'm flying above him with my insect glaive. And for so many of the monsters early on, it's not an issue to like launch over him, slice it up and keep going. But I swear I will have clearance over this SOB Anjanath, but it'll still damage me as he's charging. Help me, Dan.
So, something to think about that just came up as you were describing that. It's like a really weird way to think about fighting monsters in this game. It's sort of like, compare it to like, Punch Out. They have a window when they're doing a move that if you do a move, they just knock them right down. And like a lot of even the really powerful monsters of the game will have a telegraphed attack that if you can hit them while they're warming up for it, you will like, knock them down and open up a huge attack window. Even when everything is telling you, I have to get away right now because he's going to unleash this thing. Once you get that timing down, you'll learn how to like, take down Glass Joe.
Interesting. Jeff, have you had a tough time with some of these monsters?
Bareth was the first one just
Yeah.
because he was so tanky. And like I said, I was trying to use the insect glaive without understanding it. And I think I ended up failing that one. I think I ran out of time on that one.
Oh, wow.
But then I came back with the hammer and everything was fine.
Beat his face in.
He was real slow for me with blades because I like they don't do much damage. And I was like deflecting off of him
Yeah, all the time.
and I was whetstoning it too, and it was still like yeah.
As you get better weapons, they'll get sharper.
Okay.
So
And they'll stay sharper for longer.
I see.
Ryan from Minneapolis is wondering if there's a bigger jerk in the game than Anjanath.
Very-
I haven't gotten further, but I'm going to go with absolutely not Ryan. That's probably the hardest,
There
most dicky
definitely
monster.
is.
so much worse.
Really?
Oh,
so I'm
God,
going to look
yeah.
back at Anjanath and laugh?
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
Impossible.
You're going to want to
will.
marry Anjanath.
Really?
Yeah.
Yes.
My little sweetheart in comparison.
Yeah.
Oh, is this going to be rough, Dan?
Holy monster movie.
Anjanath will seem like an enjoyable evening in a hot tub with a glass of wine.
Oh, I don't want it. Both Wes Bates and Lucas Ledoux wrote in just really admiring the ecosystem of the game and having the monsters interact and all the crazy ways where one monster will help you out or just one monster will come up and the other monster will run away, yada, yada, yada. Dan,
Yes.
you seemed less in love with that.
It can get really. You talk about frustration. Yeah, when you're really trying to get that one monster down, and it's a very difficult monster, and then two more incredibly difficult monsters show up, and you can't be anywhere near like that. So you just want to be as far away from that as possible.
Is that what you do strategically? You just go hide behind a tree for a little
It
while?
really depends on the situation. But yeah, in some situations you may have to. Like if late game monsters start going at it, like if you're anywhere within the blast radius of several of their abilities, like you'll just explode. So you don't want to be there.
Okay.
But at other times, it's really great to take advantage of this. Like, let's say one monster shows up and they start going at it. Let them fight a little bit, let them soften each other up, and then plan your next move.
Man, okay.
Hey,
It's cool. I just wish it wasn't like all the time.
It is a lot.
It's
Yeah.
one thing. It's fascinating to me about like how watching the monsters. Some are really territorial, right, and very aggressive, and others will just like they'll see another monster and be like, "I want to get out of here." Others, like Rathalos, will be like, "Oh, you're up in my nest? All right, well that's it. You're going down. I don't care. I'll chase you all over the map. You're dead."
Yeah.
You know?
And every monster seems to love that Rathalos nest. They always just scurry right up there to hang out.
They love
Is it
that
that
place.
cool up there?
It's really great up there, isn't it?
on the ecosystem front, in previous Monster Hunters, did they have the expedition option, just the way to like be out in the world without necessarily like a goal or a quest?
Destiny patrols.
Some of them.
They were mainly fueled by like quests that would make you go collect the junk that you'd be doing in an expedition. Like you just take a quest to go get 10 berries
Yeah.
or something dumb like that.
Okay. Because like
I think the-
I've spent a little bit of time just doing like expedition, like killing a monster and then sort of being like, hey, I need like to gather one more mushroom to finish this bounty. And so like I'll spend like 20 minutes just sort of like doing some rounds, knocking some of those things out. Like I guess it's not specifically the ecosystem, but it's about like the world and exploring it. And
Yeah.
like, I've been enjoying
That's
that
cool.
part
The
of
fun
it.
thing about the expeditions too, excuse me,
Don't
is
cry.
that it's just kind of like a rotating cast of random monsters that'll pop in.
Yeah.
Whereas like if you're on a quest, you'll know, okay, it's always going to be a Bareth here. He's always going to be accompanied by this monster and this monster. Their paths may cross. But in an expedition, it's like drawing from a random pool of monsters you've encountered. So you're like, okay, here's Bareth. Oh, whoa, what are you doing here? And someone will swoop in you're like completely not expecting, which
Yeah.
is like a fun surprise to see these things from different ecosystems kind of interacting occasionally.
Yeah, for sure.
And I would absolutely say, if the time limit is intimidating to you, the expedition has no time limit. So if you just want to chill with your friends and hang out and see what monsters come in and leave the environment, that's the chill mode.
And you don't get quest rewards for that.
Right.
But if you kill a monster, you can still carve up the monster.
Exactly.
That's all still counts. You'll still get research points
Right.
and all that stuff.
So you're not like on a 50-minute timeline, but you get like a notification. It'll be like, hey, Barrett's about to leave the area.
Yeah.
So it's like, that's kind of a keep moving.
Yeah, and this loosely ties into that just with the items and stuff. Christian from Modesto, California says, Monster Hunter World is my first Monster Hunter game, and I've decided to really dig into it. So far, I've been having a blast. It seems to be the consensus outside of Barbara, as everyone's like, oh, this is really fun. My question for more veteran players, should I sell off stuff I collect from monsters or items I pick up that I don't need?
Gold is not an issue later on. So unless you're having trouble with crafting an item, just keep everything just in case you want to make something later.
Well, I was having a tough time with inventory management, but it turns out I can just shove all my crap in some box.
Put all your stuff in the box at home.
I did not realize I could do that.
Lele,
Oh
do
my
you
God.
sell stuff?
What are we gonna do with you?
I didn't know that there was this box that I could store everything in.
It shouldn't be an issue anymore. I think they allow you to have a lot of stuff
You
in
can
your
stack
item box at home.
infinitely. Like I have like 700 toadstools or something in my. You can just keep stacking.
Yeah, like in the old game, I would run out of inventory space after several thousand hours of doing the same quests over and over again. But like,
That was Capcom's way of sending you a message, I think, ultimately.
Lele, you were nodding when Dan was talking. Do you not sell your stuff?
I never
either?
sell a single thing.
Oh, okay.
And like, you will have so much money. Your money will just be like maxed out before. Yeah.
I love that it's Zenny, by the way. I love that we're Capcom.
What's the point of having money and research point? Like, why have two currencies
What
to
is
spend
that?
on?
And then also vouchers. What the hell's going on?
So vouchers is just a free meal. Okay, that's all it is. All right. It's not a big deal. It's sort of kept grandfathered in, probably, because there's really no point to it, right? I get it. It's just like a bonus you get sometimes.
I mean, the meals are like $100. There's hardly
Well, the
anything.
voucher also it feeds everyone in your party.
Yes.
So that's the bonus there.
Okay.
Thanks, Gord.
You're welcome.
And so the research points will become more useful as you move through the game. They seem kind of stupid now, I agree, but they give you sinks to use them on as you wish later on in the
Sinks?
game. Resource point sinks, basically stuff to spend them on.
So I should be, even if I know where the monster is, looking at every footprint, doing all that crap.
No, you don't have to do that.
Oh,
I'm just saying you're going to get more research points, but you're going to have more stuff to do with them.
okay. Gotcha. Here's a question for Jeff Cork from Casey from New Hampshire. New Hampshire? He says, which is a What About Bob
and it
reference.
does say, especially for Jeff Cork.
That's true. I was wondering if you all, especially Jeff Cork and the rest of the community, think this is a good game to play while listening to podcasts, or if, while grindy, the game is too combat intensive to be able to focus on both. I'm currently looking for a new game to play while I catch up on my weekly podcast, and I'm hoping this game could serve me well.
Oh, this is a podcast game. We got here,
is
son.
Peak podcast game.
This is peak podcast game. Yeah.
If I ever ignore an invite from any of you guys on PS4, it's only because I just want to play with rando freaks and listen to podcasts, because that is a sweet spot.
It is a
with this thing.
perfect game for podcasts because, I think the audio design is very good, but I think the visuals do 99% of the heavy lifting. So it's not like, in my experience at least, I could be wrong, I have not encountered a monster that gives a subtle trill that I need to pay attention to in order to do a special attack. Like, that's where the window is. It's just all visual. So I mean,
Yeah.
the music is good. The wildlife sounds are great too, but podcast that up.
I think the audio cue for knowing when to attack for some of the later monsters is just an entire episode of Comedy Bang Bang. Is that the subtle cue?
Yes.
Okay, jokes.
You need to listen to more comedy.
Take notes, buddy.
That's it for emails. Is there a standout moment
Is that it?
that anybody wants to talk about here? Something we haven't touched on yet that's killing you, burning you up inside? Yes,
I
Lele
have a
with her hand
love
up.
hate. I have a love hate. So with the new Ancient Forest map,
Yeah.
it's very large and intertwined and has 3 levels, and the map is confusing.
Yes. Just the
And-
tree part in particular.
Okay,
Yes.
it's a lot all at once right away. That's a big confusing map. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Even I was like, where the am I? Like, what's happening? Where are the monsters? For the first few quests in particular.
Well, because you're coming from the 3DS realm, when you're explaining it, that's just like basically a wide open field with a grass texture on the ground, and now it's like this intertwining.
It used to have a little bit, but not like how it is now. There used to be like a couple entry and exit points that were really easy to find from zone to zone. and like there would be the same connections, like, oh, you're jumping off this cliff into this lower part.
Now loading.
Right, now loading. Right. But like now, like there are so many times where I accidentally jump down from the high tier to the low tier,
Yeah.
and I have no idea how to get back up. In the old ones, you just like turn around and climb back up.
Yeah.
And I've just like gotten really confused. And it's probably just because I haven't played very much in the map. But what they did in the previous games would be like for the first few quests in that zone, like you can only access this part. And then like in the next, like I'm talking about the very begining tutorial quests.
Yeah.
Then they open up the next 2 zones just so you can understand how to like get from here to here.
Like meaning like the numbered areas for
Yeah.
Monster Hunter World. Okay.
So like that was a little confusing and embarrassing for me the first, 10 hours.
I think
Right.
that map is especially tricky because like I like the scout flies generally speaking. I think it's like a handy like waypoint kind of beacon, like, hey, get over here, stupid. But in that map in particular, when you're navigating like the high and low tiers, those scout flies lose their minds and they do not know what to do. Like
Yeah.
if something is directly above you,
Oh.
it may as well just like form the shape of a question mark
Yeah.
and scatter because it is, yeah.
My favorite thing that I've noticed so far, and this is like a tiny little thing, is the omen flies. I don't know if anyone even knows what I'm talking about. They're like
yeah.
little dragonfly mayfly things. They're usually white that are hanging out. And I caught one with the little like slingshot gun.
Yeah.
You can put it in your house.
They're so cute. I noticed that they're normally white, but if a monster has passed them, they turn red, which I thought was like a super cool, like totally makes sense.
Just to help
Just
you
a
track it?
Monster Hunter touch. That like that stuff has always been in the game,
Yeah.
but like I think a lot of people don't notice it.
Right.
But it's such a cool thing, like especially on the Toby Kadachi or Pookie Pookie, where we're like just wandering around trying to even find the starting.
we were looking for
point
that
to track-
Pookie Pookie for so long.
Oh my god! If there are scout flies and it like a certain amount of time passes, you'd think they'd be like, "Look, idiot,
Yeah.
go this way." Like we found 2 other monsters and couldn't find them when we were supposed to be hunting for like 45 minutes.
It was just constant Anjanath. Every nook and cranny, every hallway you look down, there's
Hey,
another Anjanath.
Great
crawling.
Jagras skid mark over here.
right. But no, I thought the omen flies were such a cute and like natural like Monster Hunter thing that I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
it's still like the same people, the same like spirit. I think.
Are you? I mean, you were skeptical that they, dumbed it down. Maybe with some other Monster Hunter fans before it came out. But overall, are you enjoying your time with it so far?
I'm much happier now that I have the actual game. The demo, I think, was a little weird, and I was like starting to get a little freaked out.
Okay.
But now that it's like the actual whole game, I'm really enjoying it. I'm excited.
Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to play very much yet.
You know what drives me nuts? I hate having notifications like on my phone that are unchecked or anything like that. I like to keep
I
a
do that
clean
too.
slate. But the guild card stuff, like there's always this notification in my menu, and then it's like, what is this? And I go into it, and it's like, hey, look at this random idiot that I don't think I've played with. I don't know who it is. Like, here's a guy standing with his cat. It's like, okay, so I just constantly have to like go in and look at these weirdos in order to not have that notification in my menu. It sucks.
Yeah, sorry about that. I think most people don't send them to everyone in their online sessions.
But
Like, I
some
think
people do, right?
Most people, I feel like, save them for like their pals. You can only store like 50 of them. I don't think you get anything.
What is that?
from
I don't want
engaging
to look at
with
any
that.
more of those.
Well, just ignore that one notification.
I haven't
I
experienced
think
It's hard for me.
if you accept someone's guild card, it lets their cat show up in your game to go out in missions with you.
Oh, interesting. So there is an
Oh, is
advantage.
that
That's
what it
cool.
is now?
All right.
Like instead of just a random pool of like weird generic palicos that they can find, they'll
Yeah.
find your palico.
Oh, that's kinda
All
neat.
right. There's something, I guess.
One thing about this that I wish was like clearer, or it would make it easier for me to engage with the game, is like I feel like quests are in too many buckets right now.
There's just too many options for launching a quest.
Well, it's like not just launching it, but like the types of quests and like who you talk to and where you go to
Yeah,
pick
it's a
them up.
little
It's like
overwhelming.
you can go on an expedition. That's not a quest. But then there are then there are investigations, and then there are story quests, and then there are optional quests. But then there are these like bounties and other sort of like. There isn't just like one place in the menu that you're just like, I want to go here and manage all the kinds of things I can do. It's like you need
I feel
to
like the board isn't the quest board basically that.
It's
outside
got a
of-
lot of it, but you still need to like go and talk to someone to register an investigation before you can then undertake that investigation.
Should I be doing investigations? I haven't done any of this crap.
Again, investigations are sort of designed to provide you with different challenges on the same monster if you want to go get those extra items that they have. So
Oh.
you're going to get more rewards, but the time limit might be 15 minutes. You might only be able to die once.
Okay.
It might be limited to 2 players. you might see some other weird monsters show up on that quest that aren't normally there.
Okay.
I guess what I don't understand is why this game just doesn't do what every other game does and just give you like quest log
I
that you
think
just
it
open
used
up
to.
and like use.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
The weird
It's a
thing
little
that I've run into too is like, if you even give a sideways glance at a monster, it's like, oh, investigation added.
Yeah.
It's like throwing those at you. And I appreciate the opportunities that they provide. It's like a cool way to kind of incentivize you and focus your grind when you're looking for something in particular. But boy, I don't need 15 investigation opportunities added every time I fight a great Jagras or something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
Like, or all of his minions. You like accidentally hit one of the minions and it's like, ooh, have you tried? You're going to want to. I'm good here.
We get it. We get
You
it.
do end up deleting a lot of investigations.
Deleting them. Okay. Anything else we should definitely not be missing, especially for people going to the next session of Game Club here? Things that people they should be talking to in the town. Don't miss this. This is crucial. Don't be an idiot type of stuff.
I mean, yeah, but they do lay that out. Like, that's one of the things I thought was great. It was like every time you unlock a new thing, you'll get a tutorial window. So even if the tutorial window doesn't help you too much, go take a look at those things that it says to look at. Like, when you get to the high rank stuff, you're going to start to have socketed armor and socketed weapons.
I would suggest like making sure that you're looking at your map whenever you're in the hub and zooming in and just doing a quick glance for the yellow exclamation points. They're difficult, at least from where I'm sitting. I'm not super close to my TV. They can be they blend in pretty nicely. So be sure you're scouring them because they give you like extra missions.
Oh, really? Okay.
And,
I've never even opened my map in that place.
Oh,
Okay.
be sure to talk to the chef also because he's got a lot of little like gathering
The
type missions.
Meowscular one?
The Meowscular chef.
Okay.
He's got a lot of missions that'll give you like if you complete them, additional ingredients for like the chef's choice meal, which is like
Yeah.
a really great buff that you kind of accumulate over time. Like we're just throwing out.
And the
random
key
tips.
there, you do have to talk to the chef, which
Yes.
can be confusing.
He's
Don't
behind the
sit at the
counter.
table. You got to go behind the counter.
Yes.
oh, I've been blowing that.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I talked to him. I finally figured that out, and I talked to him, and he was just like, it was just like a dozen quests he threw at me, and
Finally.
I was like, "Oh boy, you've been holding out on me, sir."
You never asked.
Yeah, and there are a couple of quests real quick that are like the egg gathering quests.
Okay.
They're a pain in the ass if you are not equipping the ghillie mantle, that thing that like makes you invisible. So basically, pop that, grab the egg, and then run. Because if you don't, especially the one with the herbivores, where you think, "Oh, this is going to be a cakewalk." There's these giant things with spiky tails. They see you and they're very territorial and will hit you. One hit will knock you down or break the egg, and you have to do it all over again. But if you have the ghillie suit, they won't notice you're
How
there.
do you get the ghillie suit?
You get it through
It's
early
automatic.
on.
Automatically.
okay.
You probably have it buried
Yeah.
in some menu.
Yeah,
to do it.
So if you
Okay.
if you pop that and then grab the egg, you'll have enough time to make it back to your camp without any problems.
My God, I'm so glad that they kept the dumb egg quest.
Are these
More
a
dumb
personal
stuff.
favorite of yours?
Luckily, there's only like
It-
two.
yeah.
Yeah,
I used to be really, really, really good at them. So I would make people like bribe me to complete their egg quests for them. And then we started this rumor in the very old game that if you carried, there's this little like elf dude that like lives in the special zones.
Cool.
So I convinced people that if they carried the egg that they're struggling to even complete the quest to that guy and give it to him, he would like trade you items for better items sometimes. That if you would give it to him, he would give you a Rathalos plate, which used to be like super hard to get.
Ah.
But if you actually like walk to him and talk to him, you drop the egg.
So you're evil, is what you're saying.
You scamp.
That's great.
Good stuff.
Oh my God. But it's fun. Like,
Would you
it's
like
one of those
watch him
things
do
that,
it?
like,
Like stand behind him and go, "You can do it. You're almost there, buddy."
This is gonna be huge.
it's got to be way
Oh,
easier now with the
no.
ghillie suit and stuff.
Yes.
But oh my God, it used to be just the worst. But it's one of those things where like when you become really good, it's sort of funny to like look back and do one of those quests with your friends. It's like hilarious
Yeah.
because it's so easy then, and you like know what's going on, and it's like a fun like blow off steam type of thing. They used to be like a thing you'd have to do multiple times to like advance to the next tier.
Yeah. Who's sticking this out? Who's in it for the long haul?
Oh, for sure.
For sure Jeff Cork. For sure Dan.
Oh yeah.
Probably Lele.
Uh-huh.
Hell yeah, Jeffem, you riding this thing to the grave?
I definitely want to play more. I don't know how far you guys are going to be.
Let me tell you, we're gonna do high rank, all end game stuff, and that episode is going to be on February 15th. Is when that one's gonna air. And again, I think you got an idea from this conversation. It's not like we're gonna be spoiling story stuff necessarily. It's just talking about the different monsters, and even if you haven't reached that monster yet, I don't think it's the end of the world. So I don't feel like you have to see credits roll necessarily. I assume credits roll at some point.
There are
game.
credits. There's
Okay.
stuff after credits too. There's some really exciting stuff that I can't wait to talk about next time.
Oh, all right. So next
I
time
don't
we're
think I'm
talking
gonna be
about
that far.
everything else. So especially if you don't care about spoilers, if you, however far you are, please send an email to podcast@gameformer.com, because by that time we're all going to be experts. There's a lot of confusion on this
Sure,
episode, but next time around, oh man, I'm never even going to touch the ground again with that Insect Glaive.
No,
I'm just living in the
You'll
sky.
be throwing away squads.
Yeah,
You don't even care.
exactly.
I really got to know what everyone named their palicos.
Oh, mine's name is Ratmouth. It's just it feels like a cool Redwall kind of name.
Rat
for-
mouth?
Yeah, a little rat mouth.
I named mine Behemoth from Master
Aww.
Lame.
and Margarita.
That's so lame.
Dan,
Mine is named Squillside, and I'm not going to tell the story behind that one.
Oh,
let's
jeez.
just say it
Okay.
involves a dirty word.
Boogie.
Boogie. Is that your real cat's name?
No, it's the traditional Monster Hunter palico
Ah,
of years past.
okay.
I named my cat with a K. So
Nice work.
yep.
Can we send him the email of the week?
Yeah, email the week comes to Jeff. Jeff Cork,
Max.
is that your real cat?
Yes.
You think you make him
better than
look
that.
like your cat?
Yes.
You're more creative than that.
Well,
Come
I'll tell
on.
you this. I did, for that character, I picked the one with the crooked tail, and then I slammed Max, the real cat's door.
Okay.
tail in the door.
All right, that
Parody.
helps. That
Parody's
helps a lot.
important.
Thank you, everybody that listened to all this or watched all this, and thanks to everybody in the Game Informer office that's been playing Monster Hunter and is eager to talk about it. Again, February 15th, the next episode, talking about the rest of Monster Hunter World. It's an interesting game club, so thanks for sticking with us. And thank you so much for watching or listening to this episode of the Game Informer Show podcast. We have a bonus episode going live on Friday with Corey Barlog talking about God of War. But then after that, stay tuned for another new episode on Thursday. So bye, everybody.